This the final series of SANFL. Every week we hear people raving about the SANFL, and it has been a very good competition this season, very close.
Port are starting to get a few people to qualify too. Some of the AFL boys qualifying, Fritzy, so they could be very strong in the major round.
I think they were hoping that Cummings would have been in the Port Magpies today. Well, he's only got the 2 games.
He's got 2 games, hasn't he? Yeah.
Well set, just about here. The umpires are just checking there, and Hodges, who's hotlining up on Scotty Hodges. We'll try and work that one out in a moment.
Ball to be bounced by the umpire. Notice to number 30 up in the forward pocket alongside Hodges. He's not named in the budget, so the ball will be bounced by the umpire. Socket forward by Port Adelaide inside 50. Up towards Wakeland, who loses the ball. Here comes Hodges with a strong tackle. Onto the ground goes the Port Adelaide players. Sliding the hand pass across the field. Schwerk goes in to try and force a bounce. He does. And it's Sam Philippo. Thanks, Fritzy. He's not wearing number 4 if people are at the ground today. He's wearing number 30. I notice a big bandage on his head too, on his forehead. And the ball will be bounced at centre-half forward. A weak sun now, big pack of players, a lot of nervous energy, and what an important game for both sides, particularly Centrals, who really need to start establishing themselves in the last 5 rounds before the finals. The ball knocked outside 50, free kick has gone to Centrals, and the ball will be taken by Damien Arnold. Malcolm McDonald.
Thank you, Rog. Yes, Arnold's got the footy. The number 1 ruckman for Central District swings it away onto the grandstand side. Whistle blowing as another free kick relayed downfield. So another one going to Central District. Ricky McGowan finished up with the ball on centre wing. This will go back to be taken by Jones. So the game underway here at the Alberton Oval in a big crowd. And what a game this should be between Central District and the home side, Port Adelaide. The kick from Jones came just a little bit short of the half-forward flank. It's rolled close to the line. Now it's been taken over near the players' bunker. And the umpire will throw it in. Now that's the Central District bunker down there, away to our right. And Port Adelaide right in front of us with a few chaps leaning on there, getting a good bird's eye view of this play on centre wing.
Series of hand passes. Clever over towards Cara. Low ball towards the wing. Stripped up and full field. Great pick up by Burgoyne. Long up towards the forward zone. Hodges is the target. Ball on the ground. Wakeland's got front position. Socket outside 50 by Wakeland. Sensible, cool football close to the boundary line. Port want to keep it in. They do so. Along the 50-metre line. Great courage coming from the Port Adelaide player. Hand pass comes from Philippo to Hodges. And he's missed. Had time to look. Wonderful courage from the player there racing across. That was Alfred Stee. What an excellent effort by him. Gave Hodges an opportunity. The opening score of the match are behind to Port Adelaide.
Yes, I had a good look at Hodges. When that ball was coming in to be marked, he hasn't got that spring in his step there now. A few years ago he would have marked that ball, but he just wanted to wait for body power there, but finally he was able to pick the ball up, a loose ball, and he missed perhaps one that he should have got.
Well, there's the first score in the game to Port Adelaide. Paul Geister puts the ball back into play and roved nicely by Chalmers, who is the rover for Central District. His kick around to the wing on the outer side, close to the line. It may have been taken over the line. The umpire says no, that's okay. Julian Waite grabs hold of the ball, thumps it into half forward. Out comes Daniel, gets it on the home. Back it comes now to Casserly. Casserly's taken down in the tackle. That was a good tackle. Central District there had the numbers at the drop of the ball. The ball is hand passed out to Jones, who gets it down to half forward. Out they go for the footy. Big chance here now for McGowan. Always a big possession getter in a game is Ricky McGowan. His kick that time went floating over the half forward line, but there's interference back off the ball.
Yeah, Lewis has been reported here for striking Carter. I was just watching that behind the play, and the umpire Woodcock, he was right on the scene there, and he's reported him for striking.
Well picked up by you, Fritzy Freeman. The expert comments on grandstand this afternoon by Fritzy. And what's happening here? Carter doesn't know whether it's his kick or not.
No, he had to turn around. The umpire wanted to take his number.
Thank you very much. Fritzy's got all the information here on grandstand footy this afternoon. Well done, Fritz.
Like a couple of boxers in a clinch, weren't they, Fritzy? They're at it. Looks like Simon Lewis.
And I would think that's either the 3rd or 4th time that Lewis has been reported against Port Adelaide.
High ball from Carter through the centre square towards centre half foot. Good mark by Philippo. Hung in the air a long, long way. He came from behind the pack. He's well inside the centre square. Keeps it moving towards the Quinn grandstand side. Hodges got 3 opponents. Ball onto the ground. Schwerk's there desperate. Good tackle by Steve. Ball onto the ground inside 54. Port Adelaide. Big pack of players. I think the umpire might have to come into play. No, it spills out to Schwerk, who switches towards the other side. Pinpoint accuracy is required. And the mark has been taken out there by Central Saywell. He keeps it moving over towards Hulme. Hulme, half back on the outer side, goes towards Arnold, knocked away from him. Well done by Port Adelaide. The ball, wobbly ball coming back in from Jakes towards the half-forward chance for Port Adelaide. And the ball is stymied by the Central's defenders, comes out, snapped. And the free kick, I think, will go to Port Adelaide anyway. The umpire will say we'll come back and have a kick because it was missed by the player charging through, and Scott Hodges pulls up the sock and surely will kick this goal. Fritzy has a behind. This would be a goal and would make it a 7-point lead to Port Adelaide in a moment around the grounds.
Yeah, it was a very poor tackle because it was only 12 metres out from goal, and the Central player came in from the side. It was certainly too high. The umpire was right on the spot. And Scotty Hodges, what's he kicked? 663 career goals.
25 metres out directly from goal from the Supremo spearhead, and he's put it through for Port Adelaide. They have the opening goal. 5 minutes gone at the Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide 1-1-7. Central's yet to score. John Raymond.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt 1-1-7 by 1 point over Nord. 1 straight goal 6. At the Prospect Oval, it's North and Glenelg. No score on the board there. In the AFL, the Bulldogs leading by 8 points at the Optus Oval. 4-7-31. Geelong 3-5-23. At the MCG, it's Melbourne 6-1-37 by 9 points over Carlton. 4-4-28. And Hawthorn by 14 points at Waverley, 6-5-41. St Kilda 4-3-27. You've got Grandstand 891 Adelaide's 5am ABC Regional Radio. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Well, that's the sort of start that Stephen Williams would have been demanding, I think. Fritzy get the first couple of scores on the board, and the Port Adelaide side have obliged by doing that for their coach. A 7-point lead without Central District troubling the scorer at this stage.
Yeah, I think they've been stronger across half-back line. There was a couple of thrusts went through, or attempted by Central District, but they were well blocked off. And of course, that report on Lewis, he gave the ball away, which in the end result was a goal for Port Adelaide.
Grandstand footy from the Alberton Oval this afternoon. Great atmosphere here as we see these two top sides in the competition slug it out here today. The ball is taken by Julian Wade after the bounce. Up it goes onto the half-forward right position. Running onto it now is Binky. About 55 out. Gathers and kicks in one action. Good play by Binky. Back goes Steve. Castley was there as well. Ball is kicked off the ground. That's a good score for Port Adelaide, but not quite. It was kicked by a Central District player. Very close to perhaps being a minor score there. But the ball has gone out of play on the full, and Alf Steed is the man that will take the kick in for Port Adelaide in the right forward pocket. Now, he'd really have to squeeze this one through from there because he wouldn't be seeing much daylight between the big uprights. He'll try and run around a little bit perhaps and improve the angle, but he's missed a lot. He's kicked across the face of the goal. Beaking out there again in the right forward pocket. Burgoyne there in support. Ball picked up and hand passed out to McGowan. Off he goes to Castley. Rather Saywell it was that time that hand passed over the line, and the umpire indicates that it should be thrown in between right half forward for Port Adelaide and the right forward pocket. It's all Magpies here so far. 1-1 for Port Adelaide. No score yet for the Bulldogs.
Scott Hodges has the goal in the behind for the Magpies, going to the northern end of the ground. Boundary throw in half forward on the outer side. The fist of Reimers heads towards the boundary line. Port Adelaide would want to keep it in. Bump there on Castley coming from the Port Adelaide player. Out there, I think that might have been Ormond Allen. Yes, we know him of the Crows, but there he is in the black and white. Hands on knees as he waits for the ruckman to go to it. It's Filippo going into ruck for Port Adelaide. Lovely hand pass from over towards Schwerk from McGowan. The ball tumbling down the outer wing. They wind up. Carter's got front position on Jones. Port seem to have the numbers. Ball goes towards the boundary line. Clever play by Carter. Played his 100th game in the last game. Just knocked the ball over the boundary line on the in front of the crowd on the hill on the outer side. Good scene here. Not a bad crowd. Port Adelaide 1-1-7. Central's yet to score.
And the match being played in excellent conditions. Very little wind. It's overcast, and the turf now in good order. We're in the first quarter here of the match. Grandstand footy off the wing position. The ball is shot into that right half forward line again. Taken by Castley at the back for Central District. Boots it away to the wing once more. Taken close to the line by Carter. Just runs a little hand pass along the boundary. Picked up though at the back by Central again, but they've kicked it straight to Jakes, the big ruckman for Port Adelaide. Now quite a lot of easy turnovers here at the moment. Players on both sides kicking it to one another. It's like a bit of a practice drill out there on that wing on the outer side. The ball is there at right half forward for Port Adelaide. Hand pass comes out. A chain of hand passes. Castley has run down in the tackle, but gets his hand pass away. Downfield it comes. Back it comes to Steinburner in the middle. Steinburner trying to get a hand pass away. Charges Bursting through was Obbs. Well done by Obbs to Port Adelaide. Knocks it up to Ball Ace. That was good play. Ball Ace onto the left. Goes down to the half-forward line. It's knocked away by the Central District defenders. In comes Casserly. Hand pass missed its mark. Taken by Steed. Now it's across to Burgoyne. Takes a bounce. Can kick a goal. It's on its way. It's dragged it across to the right. And it's gone through for a behind to Port Adelaide. So the Magpies doing all the attacking and all of the scoring. Burgoyne's kick was offline, but it gives Port Adelaide an 8-point lead.
Yes, and that ground it doesn't look heavy, but the players are just having a little bit of trouble keeping their feet out there. A little bit of slipperiness, but nevertheless, Port Adelaide doing all the attacking in the opening 10 minutes of this quarter.
Twirl of the football by... I think it's Geister out there as he puts the ball long towards a leading Arnold. Getting in the way. Good strong mark. Moving out there by Waite. Very impressive player as he lobs the ball back inside 50 for Port Adelaide. Hodges is the target. The fist of Geist. The ball goes towards the 50-metre line. At the top of the ball is Obbs. Hand pass is constructive to Ball Ace. The other ruck rover. A high ball up towards the goal square for Port Adelaide. They watch the ball on the ground. Taken by Daniel. Goes back towards Geister. Geister's hand pass towards Schwert. Good calmness in defence. Schwert outside 50. A long ball for a leading player on the mark has been taken down there by Cotton. We used to have 44, but that's gone to John Platten. Central's down the wing on the grandstand side. Knocked away from Hicks. Plenty of Port Adelaide defenders. They're putting enormous pressure at the moment on Central. Sheehan they're escorting. Damien Sheehan coming in for the suspended Lees. Gets a pat on the back from Bamford. But Port Adelaide putting great pressure on their opponents.
Yes, there's been 3 or 4 tackles already in this last, well, perhaps 2 minutes on Central District's players. So Port applying plenty of pressure here this afternoon.
Bulldog coach Peter Jonas would be wanting to score pretty quickly. They're 11 minutes into the first quarter. The ball is taken at the side of the pack by Steed of Port Adelaide. Goes to centre field. A good mark there has been taken by Binky. It's been fairly prominent in this first quarter. Brian Binky thumps it in over the 50-metre line. Out there was Philippo. Couldn't take the mark. In there, Wakeland for Central District. On the up, the hand pass was good to Daniel. Little one over to Holm. Holm off the half-back line. He's heading for the wing on the outer side. And the mark out there has been taken for Central District by the big man in Arnold. There, Ruckman goes into half forward. Plenty of players up, nobody marking. Running through Chambers. He's grabbed hold of the footy. Rode that beautifully at the side of the pack. And Chambers has put foot to ball. And he's kicked the goal for Central District. And a much-needed one it was. Coming at the, 11.5-minute mark in the quarter. And that makes it 2 points the difference as the Chambers goal goes on the board.
Yeah, an opportunist goal there for a rover. The way he read the ball off the pack there, scooted around, and from 35 metres out had no problems. A very interesting duel in ruck today. Arnold and Jakes having a titanic duel in the centre of the ground, and it was Arnold then that got the ball away for Chalmers to goal.
Port Adelaide 1-8. Central's 1 goal, no behind, 6 points. The Magpies by 2 points. Umpires just waiting for the boundary umpires to get ready. Some legs will be heavy at the end of the day here after all the rain on Thursday. Ground looks pretty good, but obviously pretty heavy underfooters. Jakes wins the tap. Chance for Swatala of Central's under pressure from Burgoyne, who goes onto the ground on the outer wing. Scooped up by Daniel. He's under pressure. Clever ball whispery from McGowan. Off his left boot up towards half forward for Central's. Good push out. Clever play on Hicks. Knocked away by Pedler at the point of the square. Port Adelaide seem to be in control. Series of hand pass. Ends up with Carter. Bang straight down the ground towards centre half forward looking for Darren Smith. Up goes Reimers. Was held when not in possession. The free kick will go to Reimers at centre half back for Central's. The Magpies lead the Bulldogs by 2 points. We played 13 minutes at the Alberton Oval. John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's stirred by 2 points. 2-2-14. Norwood 2 straight goals, 12. And a short time ago, Prospect Oval, North leading Glenorg by 4 points. In the AFL, the Bulldogs by 8 points. 5-7-37. Geelong 4-5-29. Carlton in a spot of trouble. Melbourne 8-4-52 by 23 points over Carlton. 4-5-29. And it's Hawthorn by 26 points now. 8-5-53 over the Saints. 4-4-28. You've got grandstand. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Where the ball is running into the middle of the ground, and a big chance here for Port Adelaide to put themselves back into attack again. But the ball hits the deck and players go over the top of the footy. The umpire will come in and bounce. So 1-2 for Port Adelaide and 1 goal for Central District. 2 point advantage to Port Adelaide, and we're coming up to the 14-minute mark in the first quarter. Grandstand footy for the Port Central game at Alberton this afternoon, and tomorrow afternoon at 10 to 3 we'll be into the big one, Showdown 4 between Port Adelaide and the Adelaide Crows at Football Park in front of a full house down there tomorrow afternoon. And with the weather predicted to be pretty fine, it should be an excellent game of footy. The ball into the half-forward line for Port Adelaide again. Casserly goes into the pack, comes out, gets a little hand pass over to Schwert. Schwert's kick was intercepted. Hodges seems to be running on the ball at the moment. Fritzy checked that one out. The ball comes back down. Big chance was there for Orman Allen, but he was met solidly. Back in again to Central District to kick it off the ground. That was Steinburner that time. Now the hand pass comes out to Carter. Carter's tackled and dispossessed. In they go. Hard for the footy. The ball is picked up by Holm. Holm heading into that full forward zone for Central District. Out they come. Big chance that time for Moller. Try to get it over to the elusive one in Chambers.
He's given it as a throw.
There is going to be a throw. Thank you, Fritzy. And the free kick will go to Ambrose of Port Adelaide. So that will deny Central District a crack at that southern goal.
Ambrose swerves around Muller and goes towards the outer side, searching for the tall timber. Waite does the tackling on Casserly. Ball spills out towards the centre square. Looked to be kicking in danger. It was going against Centrals. And we'll go to Andrew Obst. In fact, Swatala giving the penalty away there. Andrew Obst, the former Melbourne player, played 149 games. A lovely pass towards the leading Filippo, who looks to be fired up this afternoon. Socks down. He's got the green on top of the black boots as he lobs the ball up towards Hodges. That's a pretty good target. They fly almost. Binky, was he held? No. Hodges winds up at the pace of Daniel, knocks the ball towards the boundary line, off the beat of Hodges. Left forward pocket, northern end of the ground. Port an attack, leading Centrals by 2 points. Eric Freeman.
Yeah, Hodges had to follow his opponent Geister, who ran down the ground. That was the problem before.
Well, the ball, boundary umpire's thrown the ball in, still in Port Adelaide's attacking territory. And through Port Adelaide going there was Bamford, that seemed to lose control of the ball, and it was picked up by Central District. I think Bamford thought it might have been going out of play, but it wasn't. And Central District were able to grab hold of the ball and shoot it off that half-back flank. But down it comes to centre wing, where big Jakes, the Port Adelaide ruckman, saw it over the line, and there'll be a throw-in. So 1-2 for Port, 1 goal for Central District. Into the first quarter now by 16 minutes. Rucks to it again at this boundary throw-in. Jakes got the better of that. Then the second knock away came from Carr. Then it went up onto that half-forward line, but kicked out of play on the full. And a free kick to be taken by Stephen Schwert of Central District. Had some time in the AFL with the Adelaide Football Club.
Almost 17 minutes gone on the opening term. Port Adelaide leads Centrals by 2 points. They're like a couple of boxers just sorting one another out. A long way to go. Should be an exciting match. The hand pass from Binky over towards his teammate who slips at the vital moment. That was Carr. The series of hand pass. McGowan, elusive as ever on the grandstand members wing, but he didn't have a look downfield, and the mark taken by Sheehan, doing very well early on Simon Lures. Damien Sheehan. Socks down, Guernsey out, a youngster with plenty of promise, comes back towards the members wing. Mark taken by Carr. That was good football by Sheehan. He bided his time. In a moment, an update as Carr goes long towards half-forward. That's a lazy kick. Mark should be taken by Daniel. He's in the Lions' den, and he's clear at the moment. Here at the Alberton Oval, we played almost 17 minutes in the opening term. Port Adelaide 1-2-8, Centrals 1 goal, no behind, 6 points. The Magpies by 2 points as we go to John Raymond.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt by 7 points, 3-2-20 over Norwood, 2-1-13. And a short time ago from the Prospect Oval, Glenelg 1-3-9, North Adelaide yet to score. In the AFL, the Bulldogs in control, 7-7-49 by 20 over Geelong, 4-5-29. Short time ago at the MCG, Melbourne leading Carlton by 23 points, and at Waverley it's Hawthorn over St Kilda by 26 points. You've got Grandstand, Adelaide's 891 5am and ABC Regional Radio. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Thank you, John. And back here, we're into the first quarter now by about 17 or 18 minutes, coming up at the 18-minute mark in the quarter, and still just 2 points the difference. Port Adelaide leading. The initial scoring, Fritzy seems to have gone off the boil.
Yeah, Port looked good in the opening 10 minutes, but since then Central just regained a little bit of confidence. They got the goal from Chambers, and they've kept Port Adelaide at bay.
Sun starting to peep through to make it a very pleasant afternoon down here at Alberton. 1 goal, 2 for Port Adelaide, 1 goal for Central District. 18-minute mark, first quarter. The ball taken by Julian Waite. Kicks it away. Steed runs onto the footy. Looks likely type this Alfred Steed. The ball picked up at the back, taken here by Casserly. Casserly off the half-back line for Central District. Kicked it away where Binky stands under the ball and takes the mark. That may be Clayton. Is it out there? Clayton has taken the mark out there on the half-back flank. And Clayton now to get Port Adelaide moving again. Central have only really been over the half-forward line once or twice in this first quarter. Port Adelaide have been in 5 or 6 times, but scoring only 3 times. Picked up by Orman Allen. Downfield he goes. Out comes Hodges off the pack. It was Carter. Carter has actually kicked the ball, but it's been knocked through by Central District. Now, if that had gone through for a goal, it would have been interesting, but I think it's we'll never know that because the ball was rushed through really by Central District for another minor score to Port Adelaide, so they have a 3-point lead.
Excellent effort by Swatala to get in the way there and knock the ball away, and then he's taken the kick in from his teammate and had 3 bounces as he races down in front of us on the members wing, measures the ball towards half-forward. The lead is from Hicks, the fist of Pedler, ball towards the boundary line, chance for Sheehan and his opponent in Lewis, who paddles himself along the ground. Sheehan comes and knocks the ball over the ground in front of the bowling club. Good contest, and we had a great view of that. Eric Freeman. Port Adelaide 1-3-9, Central 1 goal, no behind 6 points.
Yes, I thought Carter might have been disciplined then. I'll go on to that in a moment.
Well, it's that right half forward. Orman Allen robes the pack nicely, then is thrown heavily to the ground. But the ball comes out of play just near the Port bunker, near the Central bunker. Go ahead, Fritzy.
Yeah, on that one, that kick-off, that was Carter's man, Swatala, that was in the pocket there. And he just ran straight down the ground, Carter, and left his man there.
Another throw in right half forward for Central District. The ball is taken. In fact, it was roved off the pack by Lewis, who kicked it down for Moller to take the mark. The big full forward, he's about 6'7", 6'8". And let's have a look at his kicking, see how he's going here. He's not in the top goal kicking list on the in the SANFL at the moment, but he's at full forward for Central District, and maybe that's where they'd like him to be in the major round. So as I said earlier in our broadcast, this will be a big test for the visitors here today to see what they're made of before they go into that major round. So here's Moller lining up from about a 45-degree angle. He's walking in very deliberately, goes with the left. It's wobbling around a little bit. We'll wait on the umpire to see how he judges that. It looks to be offline. It is. It's gone over the top of the post or to the right of the post and through for a behind to Central District. So it's 2 points the difference again to Port Adelaide as they go 1-3 and Central District 1-1. Let's check some more scores with John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, Sturt by 8 points, 3-4-22. Norwood 2-2-14. A short time ago, the Prospect Oval, Glenelg leading North Adelaide by 9 points. In the AFL, the Bulldogs by 20, 8-7-55. Geelong 5-5-35, getting close to half-time. Also, Carlton trailing by just 8 points now. It's Melbourne 8-4-52. 8-point leaders over Carlton, 6-8-44. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn 8-6-54 by 20 over St Kilda 5-4-34. Alberton Oval.
Centrals go towards centre half forward. They almost spoil one another. They do. Reimers comes down the ground, but the Crummers to Sable 45 metres out. A long bomb towards the goal square. Centrals have got the numbers. Can they take the mark? The ball's still in play, but good play by Pedal to get in front of Hicks and just knock the ball over the boundary line. Left forward pocket. Centrals in attack. Down by 2 points. A goal would put them in front for the first time in the match. Port 1-3-9. Centrals 1-1-7. Ball with the boundary umpire. Bright sunshine now. People shielding their eyes from the sun. Close to the fence. Wanting the boundary throw in. It's taken by Sheehan. He heads towards the boundary line. Only finds McGowan, who looks over his shoulder and picks out his teammate. It's the ball. Clear ball going over towards Centrals. And is it a goal? No, he's missed. The player rushing, I think that's Castley coming down the ground, or Swatala. But it should have been a goal, Eric Freeman. 1 point the lead, Port Adelaide for Centrals.
Yes, it was well set up then by McGowan. He spotted his teammate there, and it was a clear run at goal. He really, one of those shots you should never miss. I think it was Cotton.
Well, Ambrose brings the ball back into play and kicks to the half-back flank on the outer side. The umpire pulling out a free kick, and will go the way of McGowan for Central District. And that's kicked into that half-forward line. Up they go, plenty of players there. Claiming it is Richard Ambrose. And he's gone up and taken the mark, and well done by him. The umpire says he'll have to go back behind the man on the mark and take his kick. Port Adelaide 1-3, Central District 1-2. Just a point the difference now. The sun has come out. Central District have lifted their scoring rate. They've been over 50 several times in this quarter now, and only a point the difference as Port Adelaide ripped the ball around the outer side wing. Julian Waite seemed to take the mark. Maybe he dropped it, but he recovered well to get it down to Binky, and Binky was out in front of Reimers, and Binky has taken the mark for Port Adelaide to get them back over 50 again very quickly. The right half-forward flank it goes. Off hands, Obst was there, roving it very well. Into the play comes Philippou. Philippou clashed heavily there with Castley that time. Players go to ground. and the umpire will come in and bounce around about 25 metres out from the Port goal front. But just to point the difference here on Grandstand Footy match of the day, 1-3 for Port Adelaide, 1-2 for the Bulldogs.
Not going to be a long quarter here, so Port Adelaide only 20 metres out from goal. Let's need a major score before the quarter time siren.
Bounce the ball 30 metres out from the Port Adelaide goal. Filippo goes into ruck and does some roving as well. Wheels around and brings in a teammate with a hand pass. That's a snap from Carr, and he hits the behind post, so out on the full. Free kick will go to Centrals in the back pocket in front of the Quinn grandstand.
Yes, well, that was the opportunity. A couple of hand passes and found Carr just caught on his wrong foot there. He had a snap for goal, and he was just wide of the big uprights. This guy's just going to bring the ball back in.
Long ball towards the 50-metre line. Big pack of players. Jakes is there, knocks the ball across the line, taken by Bamford. Bamford goes short, over towards Waite. 60 metres out, goes up towards the goals, and Hodges, they fly. Filippo's there as well. Desperate defence from Central. The ball across towards the back pocket. Down the ground comes ball ace, taken by Filippo. Gets around his body, snaps towards the goals, but right into the chest of Schwert, the veteran. Read the play, got in the back pocket, got in the goal square, and a series of hand passed, and the ball is with Cotton. He's normally a half-forward flanker, Malcolm.
Yes, that's right. At Central District seem to be matching it with Port Adelaide after that initial burst by Port Adelaide. So a very close game here at the Alberton Oval today on the grandstand match of the day. Central District going in again. Out comes Jones. Jones gets his foot to ball this time, fires it downfield. It could score. Running back Ambrose will see it over the line. And another minor score goes on the board, and that in fact levels the score now. 25-minute mark in the first quarter.
Yes, that's the first time that Central have picked Port Adelaide up. It's only a low-scoring game so far, but only in it.
And the kick-in will be a free kick to a Central's player. He went for it. It came from Waite. It'll be go to the hard-working Hulme, who got himself low onto the ground inside 50. Knew the player was coming down the ground. Waite was committed, and a free kick will go to ruck rover Hulme. Best and fairest last year. Comes from Tasmania. Very rugged customer. Chips the ball towards the leading Steinburner. Takes the mark and just blind turns out of the way of Clayton, who's coming down the ground. So Swatala has the ball. Adam Swatala. Clever lead there because Hulme was too far out to score. A moment ago, Swatala was in the back pocket clearing with Stephen Carter charging down the field. Now he can score. Any score will put Centrals in front. But he'd love to pick up the second goal for the Bulldogs. Virtually no breeze to worry about. 45 metres out on that angle, up towards the goals. I think it's gone across the face. It's just a behind. It is to Centrals, but they lead Port Adelaide by a point. We've played 26 minutes at the Alberton Oval. Let's check the other scores. Firstly, the AFL half-time, John Raymond.
Yes, thanks, Roger. And listen to this one. The Cats put on 3 quick goals in 2 minutes and 6 seconds. And at half-time, the Bulldogs 8-8-56, leading by just 3 points over Geelong, 8-5-53. In the other games, it's also half-time. Melbourne 8-6-54 by 10 points over Carlton, 6-8-44. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn by 33 points at half-time, 10-7-67. St Kilda 5-4-34. Now, just quickly checking the score at the Adelaide Oval, Nord have just put on a goal, and that gives them the lead for the first time in the game, 4-2-26 over Sturt, 3-4-22. And at the Prospect Oval, it's Glenelg over North by 10 points. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Where the ball is on the wing, on the outer side, and taken by Central District's Chambers again as he gets it out wide, sending it down towards that half-forward line. The mark there has been taken. It should be allowed to Steinburner. Seemed to be the only one that touched it.
Called as touch. The umpire in's just coming in and indicating to the players that it was a touch ball.
That's probably why they were fighting about it. Anyway, the umpire is going to bounce it half forward for Central District. Currently, we've got the scores with Central District just 1 point in front. Orman Allen goes up and does some ruck work that time, punches it down, but Jones of Central District gets the hand pass moving away to Schwert, who kicks it down ground. Plenty of players up, unable to mark the ball. That time, though, was Moller. He's back in the action again. The hand pass comes out of the pack. Moller's got the footy, tried to hand pass it, just couldn't find a player. Jones goes in, has a snapshot at that southern goal, but he's put it offline. The umpire indicating that it was out of play on the full from Central District, so this will be a freebie to Port Adelaide.
Kick in has been, or the free kick has been taken and marked by Ball Ace on the 50-metre line in defence on the grandstand side. Heads towards the wing. Player trying to get in the way up with McGowan, but Steve stands his ground, takes the mark up towards half-board. It's 2-on-2. Standing down is Obst. As Binky went for the mark. Reimers his opponent there, and also Daniel for Centrals in front of the Robert Quinn grandstand. Boundary throw in, very high ball from the boundary umpire. Jakes read that well. Got his hand free and hand passed along the boundary line. Good defence eventually coming from Centrals to prevent Jakes getting free. And it is Centrals leading by a point here at the Alberton Oval. Centrals 1-4-10, Port Adelaide 1-3-9.
Yes, the ball just short of the Port Adelaide left half forward flank. So only 2 goals kicked in the first quarter here so far. It's been tight, fascinating football though, Fritzy.
Yes, it has. Only a point the difference. Port Adelaide have got a free for over the shoulder here, though, Malcolm.
Tom Carr's the man that takes the free kick, so maybe Port Adelaide can score again. They need a marking player there, 20 metres out from the goal front. Chance was there for Central District to take the ball away, but then it was dropped, fell to the ground. Now the umpire runs in quickly to indicate that it'll be a free kick to somebody here. I think he's indicating there's a free kick to Central District.
He gave it for kicking in danger, actually.
And that free kick to be taken by Wakeland down there in the back pocket. So Wakeland just kicking away onto the half-back flank. Trying to play. No, he didn't. Now it's picked up here by Cotton. Cotton coming off that half-back flank, kicks it away to the wing. Lewis was there but wasn't able to mark the ball. In comes Clayton. Clayton's thrown to the ground. A good strong tackle. And the umpire running in. I don't know what he was going to do, whether he was going to bounce it or give somebody a free kick. We'll never know, because it's quarter time here at the Alberton Oval on the grandstand match of the day, and the visitors, Central District, lead by a point at quarter time. Central District 1-4, a low-scoring game. 1-4 Central District, Port Adelaide 1-3.
And the goal scorer for the Bulldogs to quarter a different type of game. And here we are at the Alberton Oval with Centrals leading Port Adelaide by a point. 1-4-10, Port 1-3-9, and Malcolm, the Bulldogs go to the northern end of the ground. I don't think the breeze is that much. Maybe a little bit of strength going to the northern end of the ground. One kick here from Tom Carr was a beautiful kick, and went a long way. Maybe just a slight breeze in favour of Centrals, but they only lead by a point. 1-4-10 to Port Adelaide 1-3-9. And the other matches, Norwood leads Sturt by 4 points at quarter time, and Glenelg to the good of 9 points over North at Prospect. Malcolm McDonald.
I would say we've got a near perfect afternoon here at Alberton Oval now, as the umpire bounces the ball to get the second quarter underway. That slender lead of just 1 point to Central District. A big test for the Bulldogs in this 98 season with their new coach Peter Jonas coming down here to the Port Adelaide's sacred ground here, the Alberton Oval today. And at the moment, Central District in front by a point after a hard-fought first quarter. Low scoring but hard-fought. The umpire bouncing the ball out there, so this turf drying out all the while as the afternoon goes on, particularly with the sunshine coming down now. And Burgoyne gets a free kick. He was pushed in the back. And Peter Burgoyne will take the kick. We'll check some other scores in a moment. We'll just see how Port Adelaide go in with the first effective thrust forward in this second quarter. Up they go to the half-forward line there. Binky playing for mark. I liked his game in the first quarter, Brian Binky. And he gets the... well, not quite a standing ovation, but certainly thunderous applause from the people in the old stand here at Alberton Oval as he went up and take that mark on the half-forward line. It was well done. He had plenty of opposition in that marking contest, and Brian Binky, with a vice-like grip, was able to pull that one down. Now he's 60 out. It would be a big ask here for him to kick the goal, but have they got somebody down there to rove the pack? No, they haven't. It's taken away by Daniel, the defender for Central District. Kicks out to Big Arnold on the outer side. Jakes is with him. Needs support. Jakes goes back. Second effort. Out it comes O. Chance was there for Steed. Steed is grabbed. Steed kicked it straight to Steinburner. Steinburner's grabbed hold of the ball. Gives a hand pass away there to Casserly. Casserly goes rolling to the ground. He's got Chambers going past. The ball falls out over the line, and there'll be a throw-in on the outer side. At the Alberton Oval, second quarter is underway. Central 1-4, Port 1-3. Checking other scores, John Raymond.
At the Adelaide Oval, Sturt came on in the first 30 seconds, reversed the difference. Sturt now 4-4-28 by 2 points over Norwood 4-2-26. At the Prospect Oval, Glenelg 2-4-16 by 9 over North 1-1-7. Half-time margins in the AFL, the Bulldogs by 3 points over Geelong. It's Melbourne by 10 points over Carlton. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn by 33 points over St Kilda. Back to the Alberton Oval,
where Orman Hallen has the ball in the centre of the ground. He goes low inside 50, looking for Hodges. Ball onto the ground. Geist is there. It spills to Carter coming down the ground. Half pass to Burgoyne, 30 metres out. Snaps. He might have missed the lot. No, he sneaks it behind. Peter Burgoyne hangs his head in disappointment. Scores a level. 2.5 minutes gone in the second term. Eric Freeman.
It was a brilliant hand pass out to the young fella there, Burgoyne too. And I mean, that's an opportunist goal there. He should never miss those. I know he's running away from the goal, but just to snap it back only ever so slightly on the run, he should have pinged that through. But it's level the scores.
As we wait for Michael Wakeland to kick the ball in, he has done just that now, and he finds his teammate on the outer side flank, and that's the little rover. It's been very busy today, Chambers. Chambers kicks down, but the mark cut out there by Carr of Port Adelaide, so away go Magpies again, back into that left half forward flank. Over the top, though, Reimers has got the run of the ball, needs support here. He's been tackled, brought to ground. Port crowd want holding the ball. The umpire comes in and will take a bounce just inside 50 for Port Adelaide as they go to the bowling club end in the second quarter, but the scores are level, so well, we might have a very tight game throughout here today. Was in the first quarter, and it's shaping that way in the second term as well.
Hand pass outside 50 by Schwert. Only the car booms it back towards Hodges, not favoured by a bounce. Geister punches the ball towards the boundary line. Perfect back pocket play by Casserly. Moves the ball outside 50. Port seem to have the numbers. Ormond Allen, the hand pass across towards Ball Ace. Needs a good bounce. Gets it. Stabs the ball inside 50. Mark has been taken by the ever-present Obston Ball Ace. Fine combination.
Yes, they've been around for a long time, these players. One's had a lot more experience. What was it, 150 games for the Melbourne?
I think it was 149 actually, yes. But he's out in front of the scoreboard, so good to have him back at Alberton. Andrew Obst, angle acute, about 45 metres out, close to the boundary line. The goal umpire races to his right. Not much clapping behind. Magpies lead the Bulldogs by a point. We've played 4 minutes in the second term at the Alberton Oval.
Yes, well, they're doing all the thrust exactly the same as the first quarter. They had the opening 10 minutes of play there and then fell away out of it. But same thing happening here. Schwert coming away from the half-back flank. Yours, Malcolm?
Yes, Schwerty did well. He got the fullback's kick, and then he went with a little hand pass over to Saywell, who gets it back to Schwert. Schwert kicks away to the wing. Up goes Lewis. Good punch at the back, though, for Port Adelaide that time. And that was Sheehan that punched the ball away. It goes up onto that right half forward flank. Out comes Philippou. Philippou for Port Adelaide, looking for some support. Wasn't there. Good block by Central District. In goes Ormond Allen, and he does well, but is finally tackled by Switalo. The umpire will come in and bounce just inside the boundary, short of the half-forward flank for Port Adelaide. So it's a tight game of footy here. Port Adelaide 1-5, Central District 1-4.
So the ball is at half-forward for Port Adelaide, and it's palmed away by Arnold, row by Schwert, pinned by Ormond Allen. My ball again, says Ormond Allen, and my ball, says the umpire. I like the way the umpires let it go. They give the player a reasonable amount of time to try and get rid of the ball. There aren't so many holding the balls, are they?
No, they have. These umpires are really letting. I think they could sense the pattern in the opening few minutes of the game and just letting it go.
Well, here's hope that's what they'll do tomorrow between Adelaide and Port Adelaide. The ball is with Waite, close to the wing. He has a look and pops it inside 50, searching for Philippou. A couple of opponents, ball onto the ground. Philippou, but a tunnel ball and a hand pass to Burgoyne. Ball close to the boundary line. Binky goes in. Reimers, strong tackle by Burgoyne on Daniel. Ball over the boundary line. Plenty of pushing and shoving going on between a couple of fired-up players, Bamford and Hulme. Couple of Bantam Roosters there, and it's a boundary throw in at half forward for Port Adelaide with the Magpies 1-5-11, Central's 1-4-10. John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Norwood trailing by a point. Sturt 4-5-29 by 1 point over Norwood, 4-4-28. Prospect Oval, Glenelg 3-4-22 by 15 over North Adelaide, 1-1-7.
Well, back at the Alberton Oval, Clayton takes the mark and will put Port Adelaide back into attack. He's marked it just forward of centre wing. 1-5 for Port Adelaide, 1-4 for Central District. Magpies in front. Clayton's kick. Nobody there to mark it. Hodges, recovery's good. And he's tackled by 2 Central District players. But
tell you what, Malcolm, he's not as quick as he used to be.
I was just going to make the comment that he may have been a bit lucky. He seemed to pull that under a little bit, but 2 players went for the tackle, so maybe the umpire thought, well, we'll bounce it rather than create a disturbance. The ball comes out. Chance was there for Central District to move it away again. Ricky McGowan and Steed fight for the footy. And again, the umpire will take it. That was a disputed ball, if ever you've seen one. Both at equal purchase on it, both McGowan and Steed. Neither were going to give it up, so the umpire decided that he'll bounce again at half forward for Port Adelaide.
The ball inside 50, it comes out for Port Adelaide, up towards Bamford. Has it gone out on the full? No, Casserly's there escorting the ball over the boundary line. Gaster comes across, breaking away from Scott Hodges. Port Adelaide have it camped inside 50 at the moment. Scoreboard side, which gives Port Adelaide the lead by a point. We've played 7.5 minutes in the second term at the Alberton Oval. It's with the boundary umpire. The rucks go to it. Hodges against Reimers to 2-11. It was roved by Bamford. It spills to Daniel. Short hand passes clever under pressure to Hulme. He goes high outside 50. Looking for Steinberner. They fly off the body of Cotton. Comes back to Steinberner. Swings inboard. Sweeps the hand pass over towards Schwert. He's under pressure from Obbs. Half pass goes back, but it's play on. The free kick had gone to Central's advantage. The ball's with Hulme on the outer side. The fist of Pedler knocks the ball towards the boundary line. And the approving and adoring Port Adelaide supporters out on the mound on the outer side. Appreciate that effort by Pedler. Port Adelaide 1-5-11, Central's 1-4-10.
Yes, it was a good passage of play then. As you're right, the umpires are just letting this go. There hadn't been too many free kicks today.
Well, the play has been very entertaining. It's sort of like been a battle of the defences so far. Only a couple of goals kicked, one to each side. The ball goes into Port's half-forward line again. Taken by Waite. Waite gets foot to ball, sends it down ground with the mark is taken here by Hahn.
He just come off the bench.
Just off the bench. Thank you, Fritzy. And there's the information from Eric Freeman. And Hahn has got the footy. He fires it to the goal square. This could go all the way. I think he's cleared the pack. Hahn off the bench and he kicks a goal. Well, what a coaching move that was. And there's a 7-point lead to Port Adelaide after Hahn was let loose off the bench. He's grabbed hold of the footy and booted a goal.
Yeah, well, you make the moves at the right time, don't you? And the coach, Stephen Williams, sent him onto the ground, and the play just happened to be coming down that side, and he picked up the mark, and then from about 45 metres out, drilled it through.
Goals like diamonds here at the Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide 2-5-17. The scoreboard attendant getting slow. That's rare at Alberton. It should be 2-5. There's no goal up. Now it's going up. 2-5-17. Central's 1-4-10. The ball well inside the centre square. Still to come out. Players, the on-ballers working very hard. Chambers has the ball knocked away from him. Ball aces. Tackled into the turf by McGowan, and Chambers gets up holding his head. My ball, says the umpire. And McGowan and Ball-Ace, a couple of experienced ones, extricate one another, and the ball is flicked back to the umpire. Good contest. Magpies leading the Bulldogs by 7 points. Almost 10 minutes gone, second term.
Yes, and a good game of footy. Well, it's good to watch. 2 goals, 5 for Port Adelaide. 1 goal, 4 for Central District. Not a lot of scoring, but a lot of good football being played here this afternoon. The ruck is won by Jakes of Port Adelaide, but sharked nicely by Hulme of Central District. The umpire's blowing the whistle. What's he doing that for, Fritzy?
Well, he gave the free kick to Arnold for a free and ruck, and he called advantage, and the player wasn't quite clear, and so he's got to bring it back and now give it to Arnold.
Might have some time to check other scores. Thank you, John.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt by 1 point, 4-5-29. Norwood 4-4-28, lining up for goal at the moment. And Glenelg 3-5-23 by 16 points over North Adelaide 1-1-7. That, of course, is at the Prospect Oval. Play's just got underway at the Optus Oval. It's the Bulldogs by 3 points going into the third quarter. And no change to the halftime score at the MCG, where it's Melbourne by 10 points. And Hawthorn 10-8-68 by 28 points over St Kilda, 6-4-40. Back to the Alberton Oval.
We're about 60 metres out from the Central District goal front at right half forward, but the ball goes on the deck, and the players fall over the top of it, and the umpire will come in and take a bounce. It's just short of the half forward line for Central District. 2-5 for Port Adelaide, 1 goal, 4 for the Bulldogs. So a 7-point lead currently to Port Adelaide. 17 plays 10, so the home side in front as the ball is taken by Hicks out of the pack. He kicked it high. It went down into the right forward pocket. Julian Waite's there in the back pocket for Port Adelaide and sees the ball out of play on the outer side. The umpire will throw it in at right half forward for the Bulldogs, who are going to the northern end here at the Alberton Oval in this second quarter, but trailing at the moment by 7 points.
11 minutes gone in the second quarter of the Alberton Oval. Boundary throw-in, ball onto the ground. That's where the Central player went to McGowan, but it spills to Obst. Beautiful hand pass under pressure to Steve. That was sensational. Steve with the ginger hair flowing. Couple of bounces, bombs the ball up towards Hodges. He's got a couple of opponents. Back goes the Central's player. And a good mark to Wakeland, combining with Geister. Good courage from Wakeland as he had to backpedal into Hodges, who's bulked up in the time he spent away. The ball is now with Centrals. Can they counter? It spills towards Steinburner, linking with Geister, who's run away from Hodges, stabs the ball up towards half forward. They fly too high for Centrals, but it spills to Cotton. Half pass is good towards McGowan. He's normally constructive over towards Muller, who takes the mark. Good play by Centrals. And Radley Muller from the ACT has the mark 40 metres out.
It was a good mark, under pressure too. Ambrose was right on his tail, but you notice that when McGowan had the ball, the rest of the Centrals half forward, and they just scattered out to let the big full forward come through and take that mark. But well set up then by McGowan.
One shot at the other end of the ground in the opening term from behind for Muller, who was spotted playing for the ACT against the South Australia last year in Canberra. The beautiful Manuka Oval from 40 metres out. He's a left footer. It looks good. The goal umpire doesn't move. In fact, goes to the Bulldogs Army, who flutter their red, white and blue flags. It's a beautiful day. Good crowd. A lot of anticipation, of course, for the showdown tomorrow. Adelaide against Port Adelaide. But 1 point, the Magpies over the Bulldogs. 13 minutes gone. John Roman with an update.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Norwood back in front now by 4 points, 5-4-34 over Sturt, 4-6-30. Glenelg by 16 points over North Adelaide. In the AFL at the Optus Oval, it's the Bulldogs by 2 points early in the third quarter, 8-8-56. Geelong 8-6-54. Melbourne by 16 points. Gary Lyons kicked 4 goals. Melbourne 9-6-60 over Carlton, 6-8-44. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn 10-8-68 by 27 points over St Kilda, 6-5-41. Alberton Oval.
Well, back in the middle here after that goal was kicked by Moller. Players fighting hard for possession to try and set up some sort of an ascendancy here at half-time. But there's nothing in the game, Fritzy, is there? Only a point the difference. Point at quarter time and a point now. And we're 13 and a half minutes into the second quarter.
And Darren Smith is off on the ground for Scott Hodges.
So it would appear that no side is going to get the breakaway. That's indicating there's a very strong defensive action from both sides here today. Low scoring, no one really able to get a run of goals. Ricky McGowan was legged and using all of his guile and experience there to come out with a free kick. And what a player he's been for the Bulldogs, sending it out wide to Reimers, who juggled it, but came back for the second effort and picked it up and then sent the ball down ground. Out comes Carr, but he wasn't able to take it for Port Adelaide. He and Steinburner slide over the line. It was on the full, actually. It must have come off the boot of Carr. So the free kick will be taken by Steinburner of Central District at centre wing on the outer side. Nice sunny conditions here at Alberton. He decides to flank the ball across with the back pocket player in Daniel for the Bulldogs. Daniel now down to right half forward. And the whistle blowing, I think, before the ball even arrived.
Yeah, he gave the free kick for after disposal then against the Port Adelaide player.
So will it be Simon Lewis, or who will it be that'll grab hold of the ball? I think it might be Lewis that'll take the free. Lewis has got the footy. So Simon Lewis to have a shot on goal here for the Bulldogs. Now currently it's a 1-point ball game. A nice straight kick here, and I think that's all it'll take is direction rather than length, Fritzy, because I think Lewis will make the distance okay in the calm conditions here right now. So he'll kick from 40. Just a matter of a straight kick here for Simon Lewis. It's on its way. His teammates are applauding. The umpire likes it. Central District now. Another goal goes on the board, and they're back in front by 5 points. The scoreline here at Alberton Oval. Central District 3-4, leading Port Adelaide 2-5. That is a 5-point lead to Central District as we take some other scores from John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, Norwood were ahead by 10 points, which was the biggest margin in the game, but Sturt have put a stop to that. Norwood 6-4-40 by just 4 points over Sturt at the Adelaide Oval, 5-6-36. At Prospect, it's Glenelg by 10 points, 3-6-24. North Adelaide 2-2-14. Stand by, Roger. Geelong by 4 points now. They've hit the front, 9-6-60 over the Bulldogs, 8-8-56. At Waverley, it's Hawthorn 10-8-68 by 26 points over St Kilda, 6-6-42. Gary Lyons now kicked 5 goals for Melbourne. Melbourne 11-6-72 by 28 points over Carlton, 6-8-44.
Play inside 50 for Port Adelaide, but a sensational mark by Michael Wakeland. Going the same way as the football, and the pack coming out from the goal square over towards McGowan, who's been best on ground. He really is been a constructive player. He lobs the ball towards centre half forward to Centrals. They fly strong mark to Hicks. Hicks back pedals, attacking into the square. Now he pops the ball across the ground. The red, white and blue come down the ground. The umpire gets in the way, taken by Steinburner. 30 metres out, snaps, goal! Brilliant effort by Central. Suddenly they've snapped up a couple of gears, Fritzy. What football? Wakeland, McGowan, tell us the rest. Bulldogs lead the Magpies by 11 points. 16 and a half minutes gone, second turn.
Yeah, the scoreboard tells the story. There's 3 goals in, I've got it down, 3 and 3.5 minutes now to Central District. I think McGowan's been in the 3 of those, but it was the mark back in defence of Wakeland and out to McGowan by himself there, and it was just a matter of time before Central got it through. So they've scooted away now to, 11-point margin, and certainly had full total control in the last 5 minutes or so.
Yes, far and away the biggest margin in this game so far. I was wondering if the team would get a bit of a rush on before half-time, and Central District have done just that. In they go again. Ricky McGowan on bottom of the pack trying to get it out, but a good strong tackle laid, and the umpire will bounce.
Port have made a couple of changes. As we mentioned, Hodges was off for Darren Smith coming on, and then we saw Jared Polton come onto the ground, and he's replaced Burgoyne.
Central District 4-4, leading Port Adelaide 2 goals, 5. So still a low-scoring affair, but Central District getting a couple of goals to get that little breakaway. Out of the pack, the ball is kicked forward by Waite of Port Adelaide. Rolls over the 50-metre line. After it is Reimers. Ever Dangerous Steed is there as well. And through it goes. It's rolled off the legs of the players and gone through for a behind. So Central District have a 10-point lead over Port Adelaide here at the Alberton Oval. The grandstand match of the day, 18-minute mark, second quarter.
10 points in favour of Centrals, who head towards the outer side. Their tails up at the moment, heads towards Steinburner, who's having a whale of a second term. He tries to get away from Hahn. He does. He's strength, he's stocky. Steinburner has pace to burn as he moves the ball up towards half forward. The wrestling going on between Lewis and Sheen, allowed to go on. Soccer comes from Halm. He holds onto his opponent. It spills off Binkley over towards Hicks. Snap from the pocket. There's another one for Central. I think it might be. Wait on the goal umpire. Yes! And the flags flutter again at the northern end. The red, white and blue. The sun is certainly shining for the Bulldogs. They burst away to a lead of 16 points over Port Adelaide in a moment around the grounds. Let's go to Eric Freeman.
Yes, and that came from that half-back line again. And there's been certainly a tower of strength back there in this quarter. Since the 10-minute mark, they've cut Port Adelaide out like they did in that first quarter. And it was Hicks then deep in the forward pocket. Got the rough ball that came out to him and had no problems in putting it through.
19 minutes gone, second term Centrals, 5-4-34. Port Adelaide 2-6-18, 16 points to the Bulldogs. John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Norwood by 5 points, 6-5-41 over Sturt, 5-6-36. And a short time ago, the Prospect Oval, Glenelg leading North Adelaide by 18 points. In the AFL, Geelong ahead by 2 points, 9-6-60 over the Bulldogs, 8-10-58. Melbourne by 35 points, 12-7-79. Carlton 6-8-44. And the margin at Waverley, it's Hawthorn by 33 points, 11-9-75 over the Saints, 6-6-42. You've got Grandstand, 891 Adelaide's 5am and ABC Regional Radio. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Where the ball's out of bounds, right under the old scoreboard here at the Alberton Oval. The big scoreboard on the outer side, 5-4 for Central District, 2 goals, 6 for Port Adelaide. So Central have a break now of 16 points in this game, and well, we're not far away from the time on period now. There's an injured player. They're taking the stretcher out to an injured player right at midfield, and that's Cotton. So Jared Cotton, I didn't see what happened to him. He's way away from the play. Behind the play, the ball would be 55, 60 metres away from him, and it has been for some time, I would think. Fritzy, he's almost in the middle of the ground. The ball is about to be thrown in front of the scoreboard on the outer side.
Yes, I didn't see it, but no. He's crumbled up a little bit there in a heap, but whether they're worried about his knee or his head, I'm not so sure. They're trying to get the stretcher underneath him. Jordan Frame.
Yep. Well, anyway, it's Jared Cotton's the man that's injured. He's moving around a little bit, but they're going to take him from the ground on a stretcher, and the play will be held up while we see.
This might help Port Adelaide a little bit too, Malcolm.
Yeah, because Central had the momentum, didn't they?
They certainly did. They at the 13-minute mark, they drew to within a point of Port Adelaide. 2 minutes later, they got their next goal. Another minute and a half, another goal. And, of course, it was only 2 more minutes, and we saw the final goal there to Hicks.
Mark Williams, the assistant coach for Port Power, just going out of the grandstand and getting all geared up for tomorrow's game. Remarkable in the AFL. St Kilda supporters will be starting to fret. Eric down by 33 points. Hawthorn beat Richmond by 36 last week, the bottom team. Geelong's doing all right against the top team. It's amazing, isn't it, in the AFL? Anyone can beat anyone on any given day.
That's right, and we're going to see some surprises there this afternoon. Port Adelaide just making another change there too. Coming onto the ground was Bamford coming back on. But let's hope the injury's not too severe to Cotton. They're holding his knee, so I would say that he's got a pretty serious knee injury by the look of it, just holding it. Yeah, they're trying to hold it into place. So unfortunately for Jared Cotton, that could be dangerous.
He looked to be having more of a sort of an on-ball centre square role.
I thought he looked good today. He looked free and easy, roaming around, and just a bit like McGowan. McGowan has been clearly the best player on the ground.
Yes, well, back with the play, which is, as I said about 5 minutes ago, underneath the scoreboard on the far side here at the Alberton Oval. The ball comes out the back. Daniel is there trying to grab hold of the footy. Hand pass comes out. Central District will move it away with the last man on the end of the chain. That time was Casserly kicking the ball across ground. And now it's out of play on the opposite flank. So 5 goals, 4 for Central District. Had a bit of a burst there. Then they lost the momentum of the play, but 5-4 and 2 goals 6 for Port Adelaide for a 16-point lead to Central District into the quarter now by, well, the official time is 22 and a half minutes, but there'll be quite a lot of time added because of the injury to Jared Cotton.
I notice that Gary Ellis is on now for Central, marked by Mark Clayton down in front of us. Clayton, number 10, a very consistent defender. And Ellis, one of those low-to-the-ground players, coming on, obviously, for Jared Cotton. And the umpire will bounce the ball as the Schwerten ball ace pleading with the umpire. They're pushing and shoving. Who wants to get front position? They bump. Ball ace goes into the midriff. And it's play on, says the umpire. Ball onto the ground. Emerging is Chambers, trying to burrow free. It spills to Saywell. He's got to turn on the wing on the members' side. It's all Port Adelaide, but Carter almost scores. Clayton was held. They're not in possession. Jones wasn't led. Play on, says the umpire, over towards McGowan. So Central spread the ball towards centre half foot. And McGowan is flattened by Sheehan. But McGowan's up quickly because he knew he got the relayed free kick at centre half forward. The ball will take by Damien Hicks.
I think that was an Academy Award too, but nevertheless, they've got the free kick.
65 metres out for Damien Hicks. He goes up towards Muller, who flies almost ball onto the ground. Ellis goes in. The hand passes back towards McGowan. McGowan 50 metres, half forward, chips the ball very high for home. Was it a mark to Central? No, it's a Port Adelaide mark. The man in front was Obst. Hand pass over towards his teammate in Sheehan. Sheehan goes long towards the wing. Down in front of us, it seems to be Central's. Geister, superb mark, held up by Hahn. And what a mark by Geister. We had a perfect view of that.
Yes, he's coming right down the ground today, backing his judgment, playing a great game. I thought he clearly outpointed Hodges today.
In the moment around the grounds, Ellis has the ball at half forward. Carter wrestles free. Well done by Carter. Threads the ball down the wing position. Mark should be taken. No, it's knocked away by Jakes. Gets in the way. Quick goes to Central. And the crowd in the grandstand goes berserk. Central's 5-4-34. Port Adelaide 2-6-18. The Bulldogs by 16 points. 25 minutes gone, second term. Update, John Raymond.
At the Adelaide Oval, a very topsy-turvy affair. Sturt back in front now, 6-6-42. They lead by just 1 point over Nord, 6-5-41. Prospect Oval, it's Glenelg by 18 points. The Bulldogs, 9-12-66 by 5 points over Geelong, 9-6-61. At the MCG, it's Melbourne, 13-7-85. They lead by 39 points over Carlton, 6-10-46. And take a deep breath if you're a Saints fan. Hawthorn are ahead by 52 points. Hawthorn 14-10-94 by 52 points over St Kilda, 6-6-42.
Well, back at the Alberton Oval, and Steinburn has got the footy on the wing on the outer side. His hand pass was intercepted by Carr of Port Adelaide. It comes down now to Steed. Steed tries to knock the ball forward, hip and shoulder from Reimers on Steed. Put him to the ground, but he's a tough little customer. The ball comes back, taken by Reimers. He's like a raging bull in defence at the moment. Gets the ball across to Jones, who fires it up. And out comes Hicks and takes a good mark. Hicks is starting to bounce around on the forward line. Kicked a lovely goal a while ago. Now he's got hold of the footy again. Fires it into centre half forward. But up goes Binky. And he takes another spectacular Binky mark. He's taken a couple of those today. Gets it out to Clayton on the half-back flank. Clayton now looking to set it up for Port Adelaide. He's got Richard Ambrose just short of centre wing. Ambrose goes to right half forward, but Central District should take the mark. Geister's there and just dropped it at the crucial moment. The ball is kicked off the ground, running down in the right forward pocket for Port Adelaide. The ball is picked up here and shot out to be taken by Wakeland. Wakeland now giving it across to Reimers. Yes, it was Reimers that was Geister that time that got the hand pass over. And it floats out of play, and there'll be a throw in at right half forward for Port Adelaide.
Deliberate, in fact, Malcolm.
Oh, yes,
it's a rare decision. Deliberate going to Bamford. So Bamford, great to see him back after that knee problem last year. Right half forward in front of the bowling club. We just look around the white light pole as he goes inside 50. Up goes Holm. He's a very good player, Holm. He reads the play, the good on-baller. Knocked the ball over the boundary line. Right forward pocket for Port Adelaide. They need a couple of goals before half-time.
Yeah, Holmes high up in the Central District best players. I had him in the best half a dozen in the first quarter. But he's a real goer. He's not afraid. There was a great passage to play only a few moments ago. The umpires let it go. There was bodies being thrown left, right and centre. I thought it was great football.
The intensity is there, very much so, with both sides. They lifted the importance of this game. Port wants a third spot back after West win over South yesterday, and Centrals wants to consolidate in fifth position. 5 rounds to go, including today before the finals, and the ball will be bounced in the right forward pocket, almost half forward for Port Adelaide, southern end of the ground. We look towards the trees there in the distance. The goal umpire ready. The bounce of the ball. It swings inboard for Port Adelaide. Hammered back towards the boundary line by Central's. Schwert just escorts the ball over the boundary line. Darren Smith on his hammer. And it's still in the right forward pocket, Malcolm. We look away to the right. Central's 5-4-34. Port Adelaide 2-6-18. Burgoyne back on for Clayton.
Yes, and Port Adelaide going to that end, the bowling club end here at the Alberton Oval in the second quarter. But at the moment, the home side trailing by 16 points. So Stephen Williams trying to get a bit of a spark late in this second quarter now. He's swinging the men on and off the interchange bench. He's got Burgoyne back on there now to try and give them a bit of spark on the forward line. Looks like he's heading to a half forward flank. And the umpire to throw it in almost at forward pocket for Port Adelaide, right in front of the bowling green. The ball is there at, well, just right in front of the Port Adelaide goal front. The umpire pulling out a free kick, and it'll go the way of Central District to be taken by Daniel down there in the back pocket position. Copped a bit of a nasty or heavy knock there as he was going for the footy, but he's got the ball now. Let's check some other scores with John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, getting close to half-time, and it's been goal for goal. Sturder hanging in there by 1 point, 7-6-48 over Nord, 7-5-47. I believe that is the half-time score. The siren has just gone. It's also half-time at the Prospect Oval. Glenelg by 12 points. Glenelg 4-8-32 over North Adelaide 3-2-20. And just confirming the Adelaide Oval, that is the half-time score. Sturt 7-6-48 by 1 point over Nord, 7-5-47. In the AFL, the Bulldogs leading Geelong by 3 points, Melbourne over Carlton by 38 points, and Hawthorn over St Kilda by 52 points.
29 minutes gone in the second term at the Alberton Oval. Central's leads Port by 16 points. It's Port desperately defending in the moment, in charging and bringing it. Brunia's home sweeps the hand pass over towards Steinberg. 40 metres out, open goal, snaps. I think he might have missed. He has. He can't believe it. Neither can his teammates. That would have been the icing on the cake, Fritzy. It should have been 22 points at half-time. It's now just 17 points. Well, that's not a bad lead, but Steinburner should have kicked his second goal.
Yes, in a low-scoring game, 4 goals would have been very handy at half-time. I was a little bit surprised that Clayton's taken from the ground. I thought he's been in Port's best 3.
Anyway, the ball is with Ellis of Central District. He's taken a big kick into that right forward pocket. There wasn't a lot of direction in that. The ball taken out the back by Morgan of Port Adelaide as he kicks around to the half-back flank. Running out hard for the football is Steinburner. He gets a little hand pass over to Moller, who was on the natural left foot. That was well done. Up it goes, but Ambrose takes a big mark in defence. That is the end of the first half of footy here today. And Central District in front by 17 points at half-time after they led by a point at quarter time. So you could say in a tight game of footy, the first half belongs to the visitors, Central District, here today. In a low-scoring affair, a 17-point lead is quite significant at half-time. So there it is, half-time scoreline here on the grandstand match of the day.
They certainly need that today.
Well, the umpire's got the footy, and the game is about to get underway for the second half with Central District 5-5 to Port Adelaide 2-6. A 17-point lead to Central District. They're looking for their 9th win of the season. Port Adelaide have already got 9 wins, so it's going to be a battle royal in this last hour on grandstand footy. And both sides hard at the ball at the start of the third quarter. Knocked away by Castle. He goes spinning away towards the wing after it was Chambers, but couldn't drag it in. And the umpire will throw it in on the outer side. So the second half underway.
Hahn and Geister having a big wrestle. Hahn wanted holding the ball. The umpire slipped over. It's all happening, Malcolm.
It sure is, Rog. There's no doubt about that. 5-5 for Central and 2-6 for Port Adelaide. Stephen Williams would have been a bit angry, I think, about that scoreline at half-time, but he would expect a bigger effort in the second half. The ball going in, taken by Clayton. Clayton's heading for that full forward spot. Up goes Binky. Wasn't able to mark that time. And the ball is knocked close to the line. The umpire indicating that it has gone over. And Daniel, the defender down there for Central District, just drops the ball. And the umpire will throw it in near the behind post in Port Adelaide's attacking end. That's down at the northern end here at the Alberton Oval.
Magpies down by 17 points. Needham would love an early goal. Up goes the fist of Geister. Knocks the ball onto the ground. It's cleared away by Schwert towards the 50-metre line for Central. Ball ace was held when not in possession, surely. Play on, says the umpire. Ball ace has got his nose over the ball. A lovely short hand pass to Clayton. A wobbly old kick inside 50 for Port Adelaide. Not for long. Taken by Castle. Has a look through the centre square. They fly. Off hands. Lewis is there trying to knock the ball on. Carter's shepherding for his teammates. Strong tackle over the shoulder. Over the shoulder. on Port Adelaide player, and he'll take the free kick. That is Danny Morgan, the former Essendon player. Passes short towards Bamford, inside the centre square, just alongside the circle. Looks to play on, then swerves around his opponent in Jones and moves the ball across the ground. Lovely pass towards Carter. The half-back flanker is half forward, 65 metres up, goes towards the goals. Back goes Reimers. It's, in fact, takes a sharp leg break and is in the right forward pocket to the northern end of the ground. So no score for Port Adelaide, still trail by 17 points.
Once again, Port Adelaide starting off. They've had the most possessions in this quarter.
Well, I would think Stephen Williams would have demanded the first goal in the third quarter, because they were out by nearly 3 goals when this quarter started. They were trailing by 17 points. Steed grabs hold of the ball. I think he may have kicked a goal. That was a great effort out of the right forward pocket. He has. And Alfred Steed has pounced on the loose ball in that right forward pocket, and he's put it through for Port Adelaide to make it 11 points the difference.
Well, you said the Stephen Williams would have demanded the first goal. He certainly got it there as we go back and take some AFL scores. John Roman.
Yeah, thank you, Fritzy. Actually, we'll just quickly check the SANFL at the Adelaide Oval. Sturt have kicked away to an 8-point lead early into the third quarter, 8-7-55. Norwood 7-5-47. The margin still 12 points at Prospect Oval in favour of Glenelg. Now, sensational game at the Optus Oval. Geelong have just levelled the scores. The Bulldogs 10-17-77. Geelong 11-11-77. In the other games, the margins are quite bigger. 15-13-103 by 49 points in Melbourne over Carlton, 7-12-54. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn by 55 points, 16-14-110. St Kilda 8-7-55. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Where the ball is won out of the centre by Port Adelaide. Strong tackle on Harnes, flung onto the ground. Casserly has the opportunity, pouncing on him with Steed. His tackle on the centre half forward, over the shoulder. It goes to Port Adelaide. And Steed, like a terrier, winds up from 60 metres out. He bangs it long up towards the goal square, looking for Binky. The fist of Reimers, snapped by Carr. Is offline, almost for Port Adelaide. Good play by Carr, racing down the ground as Reimers fisted the ball away from his opponent. Reimers goes back to kick in at the northern end of the ground, and Port fired up at the moment. Fritzy trail by just 10 points.
I'll tell you what, some of these scouts that are here today are looking at this Alfie Steed on shore. He's a real tiger. The way that, he's a magpie, of course, but the way he goes in for the ball, and he played on at all costs then. Unfortunately for Port, they couldn't get a goal, but once again, they're doing all the attacking, and they've just got to keep it going and pour on the pressure, and they'll get back into this game.
Yes, Steed, his goal in that early part of this quarter really set Port Adelaide alight, didn't it? And they almost got another one, so that's what Stephen Williams would have wanted, the first 2 goals in the third quarter. Now, Stephen Schwert will take the kick in for Central District down there in that fullback position. Took a while for all this to happen. Huey Reimers went trotting after the ball and then came back to fullback and then gave it to Stephen Schwert. So Schwert boots it to the halfback flank on the outer side. All Port Adelaide there. Burgoyne goes through, seemed to be held. Doesn't matter anyway. Gets onto the left, can score. No, he can't. It'll be marked on that last line by Saywell. Saywell giving the hand pass over to Steinburner. Steinburner's hand pass straight to Steed. Steed spins around and bangs it back into the goal square. Off hands, Darren Smith was there. The ball close to the line. Is it over? I think it might be. And the umpire will throw it in. Gee, how close was that to Steve getting another goal there, Fritzy?
Yes, it wasn't far off. I thought that they may have got a free after disposal then, considering a couple of the others have been paid today. But
boundary throw in forward pocket. Smith goes into ruck for Port Adelaide. In goes Geister, robbed by Smith, roving by him. Across the ground it goes. It bounces in the field of play. And Port Adelaide have just tucked it inside 50 at the moment. Out on the right forward pocket, the ice cream truck over there. People surrounding it. No doubt the cool cone business is doing pretty well today. But they're in sunshine. Boundary throw in with the boundary umpire. Geister against Darren Smith. Roving by Smith is smothered. Spills over towards Wakeland. He's under pressure. Trying to get clear. Wonderful play by Wakeland. The high ball back towards the centre square. They all run from angles. Almost for Jakes. Ball onto the ground. It spills to Carter. Juggling effort by Carter. Chance to look. Then moves the ball. Wobbly ball back towards centre half forward. And the mark's been dropped by Binky. Weaves clear. Recovers well. A high ball up towards the goal square. Back goes Schwert. They fly. The fist of D. Smith and Schwert over the goal line. A behind for Port Adelaide. Not a goal, but they're just camped inside 50. Trail Centrals by 9 points.
Yes, if they can just keep it in there, the rewards will come their way. They'll pick up 1 or 2 goals. There's not much in this game, as Roger Senton. Only 9 points at the moment.
Yes, well, a 17-point lead has been quickly whittled down to 9 points. This quarter going just under 6.5 minutes so far, as the mark on the half-back line has been taken by Wakeland. And Wakeland now setting the ball down to the wing. A good 50-metre kick that was, but the mark has been cut out by Jakes, the big Port Adelaide ruckman. Now he's being told to play on. Hicks lays the tackle. Jakes gets the kick away just in the nick of time. But his kick, due to the Damien Hicks tackle, was offline, and it went out over the line to be thrown into right half forward for Port Adelaide. Here at the Alberton Oval, grandstand match of the day. Central District 5-5, leading Port Adelaide 3-8. Let's check some other scores with John Raymond.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt leading by 7 points, 8-7-55, Norwood 7-6, 48. 12 points, Glenelg over North at the Prospect Oval, and a real seesawing affair at the Optus Oval. A short time ago, the Western Bulldogs were ahead by 5 points. The Cats have just banged one through. They are now 12-12, 84 by 1 point over the Bulldogs, 11-17, 83. Not so at the other two games. Melbourne by 44 points over Carlton at this stage, and Hawthorn by 49 points over St Kilda at Waverley. You've got grandstand back to the Alberton Oval,
where Brian Binky lines up from centre half forward, 45 metres out directly from goal, and has put it through for Port Adelaide. They get within 3 points of Central to the 8-minute mark of the third term here at the Alberton Oval, and the Port Adelaide supporters roar their approval. Eric Freeman.
Yeah, well, they've had 4 scoring shots so far, and we've seen good goals to Alfie Steed, and in fact he's kicked 1 goal, 1 in this quarter, but then Brian Binky taking a great mark about 45, 50 metres out, had no trouble putting it through. So Port Adelaide right back in this game, just trailing by 3 points, and they've had all the play so far in the opening 8 minutes of this quarter.
Yes, they really have, haven't they? And they've rattled on some very valuable goals to get themselves right back into the action here at the Alberton Oval. The ball is out with Sable after the bounce. Wide onto the wing it goes. Sable picks up and kicks in one action. Downfield there for Hicks. Punched away at the back by Pedler of Port Adelaide. Ball is, though, with Sable as he fires on that southern goal. He's offline. It goes through from behind. Now, that's the first score of the third quarter to Central District. They take their score to 5-6, leading Port Adelaide, who are 4-8.
In by Ambrose towards the outer side. The long lead comes from Obbs. Might pick up a free kick. No play on, says the umpire. Hicks getting in the way. Obbs demanding a free kick from the umpire. It's not there. It's out at half forward for Centrals. As Arnold comes off, and on for the first time today is Daniel Shell, the 18-year-old. First time we've seen him. Well, I've seen him, and he runs towards the southern end of the ground. Boundary thrown on the outer side. Lewis hammers the ball down. Taken by Wade. Lovely hand pass over towards Morgan. Squips another one towards Bamford. Got to pick the ball up over the boundary line. It goes running past was his teammate in Steed, but McGowan just got in the way and knocked the ball over the boundary line on the outer side. Central's 5-6-36, Port Adelaide 4-8-32, 4 points in favour of the Bulldogs.
Umpire throwing the ball in on the outer side. You've got grandstand footy, and out the back they go. Port Adelaide now a chance to move it forward again. Comes back into the centre of the ground. Plenty of players there. Orman Allen had the run of it. Tapped it out in front. Done well. Did well that time as he swings the ball onto the half forward line. Orman Allen. That was good play. Hand pass though from Central District coming out of the back pocket. Now back over the footballers. Binky. Binky playing it well. Looking for the hand pass out there to D. Smith. Wasn't able to get him that time. Into the play goes Waite and Smith. Orman Allen back in there, and Orman Allen is dragged to the ground. It seemed to be legged. No free kick to Orman Allen. The Port Adelaide supporters are irate. The umpire will come in and bounce just short of the half-forward line for the Magpies. Going to the northern end of the Alberton Oval in this third quarter, down by 4 points at the moment. Ruck knocked out the back. I think that was the new boy that got the ruck knock that time. That was Shell, but it doesn't matter because the ball comes spinning down to the wing on the grandstand side, taken by Obbs. His hand pass missed Carr. Carr gets back over the footy pretty smartly though. Gets through a couple of tackles, gets it back to Obbs. That was good play. On it goes now, and taken that time by Sheehan. Sheehan gets it across for Clayton. And Clayton between the centre of the ground and half forward bangs a long one to the goal square. Need one more marking player. Port Adelaide, it's not there. It's knocked over the back of the pack and through for a behind. A 3-point lead to Port Adelaide here at the Alberton Oval as we check other scores with John Raymond.
At the Adelaide Oval, scores are all tied up. Sturt and Norwood 8-7-55 apiece, and North have just hit the front. They hit it about 30 seconds ago for the first time in the game at the Prospect Oval. North Adelaide 6-3-39. They lead by 1 point over Glenelg, 5-8-38. Still 1 point the difference at the Optus Oval in favour of Geelong, 12-12-84. Bulldogs 11-17-83. Hawthorn leading St Kilda by 49 points, and Melbourne over Carlton by 44 points.
Inside 50 again for Port Adelaide. Cleared out by Centrals. Taken by Muller. Over towards his teammate who puts it back into the centre square, almost a mark to home. He's hurled onto the ground by Clayton. So the free kick will go to Jones. Jones at the defensive end of the square. In fact, it was Halm. It's over towards Schroed, who links out of half-back down the wing looking for Lewis. Lewis has the ball knocked away from Sheehan. Good discipline from the Port Adelaide defender. Crumbs to Pedler. Hand pass over towards Opt. Here comes Port Adelaide again. Low down the outer wing. Mark taken by Waite. Quick movement by Port Adelaide. Always dangerous for the defending side, but it's cut out cleverly by Wakeland, who's having a whale of a game for the Bulldogs. Has the ball at half-back. Central's 5-6-36. Port Adelaide 4-9-33.
Yes, a 3-point lead to the Bulldogs. The ball is on the outer side wing. And Fritzy Freeman to comment on grandstand.
Yes, Wakeland's had an outstanding third quarter. I think that's his third mark back there, and that was a telling one because Port Adelaide are moving the ball quickly in this quarter.
Past 12 minutes in the third quarter. At half-time, Central District led by 17 points. That's been whittled down to 3 points. It's been a mighty effort by Port Adelaide in the first 10 minutes of this third quarter. But Central District is starting to retaliate now as the ball is taken by Casserly. Down he goes into the forward pocket. Running through there was Chambers. Chambers versus Pedler. And Pedler had a slap at the ball and knocked it out over the line. The Port supporters are happy with that because that's denied for the moment anyway. Central District a crack at that southern goal, and that's looked as though what was coming up for them there.
Port Adelaide 4-9-33, trailing Central's 5-6-36 as the Central's cheer squad tries to sing their side back into action. They'd love a goal at the moment as Jakes goes in. The roving is done by Hicks. He snaps from the acute angle. It's very close off hands. Well done by Ambrose, battling there with a youngster in Shell. Over the goal line it went just a behind for Centrals. They lead Port Adelaide by 4 points. We've played 13 minutes, third term.
Well, Port have upset the Centrals in this quarter because they've had the ability to move the ball on quickly, and they've got to keep trying to apply that pressure.
Well, the Bulldogs haven't kicked a goal in this quarter. They've got a chance now as the ball comes back from home. He gets it out to Hicks. Hicks thumps it down ground as it cleared the pack. Touched on the line, and umpire indicates that that's through for a behind. So another minor score to Central District. They take a 4-point lead here. A 5-point lead as it is at the Alberton Oval. Central District 5 goals, 8 leading Port Adelaide 4 goals, 9. Let's take some more scores from you, John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, the Double Blues have just banged on a couple of quick ones. 10-7-67. They now lead by 12 points over Norwood. 8-7-55. A point the difference at Prospect. North over Glenelg by just 1 point. Geelong ahead by 6 points at the Optus Oval. 13-12-90. Bulldogs 11-18-84. Melbourne over Carlton by 44 points. 15-16-106 to Carlton 8-14-62. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn by 54 points over St Kilda. Grandstand 891 Adelaide's 5am. ABC Regional Radio. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Centrals go inside 50. Strong tackle by Jones on Carter. Wait on the umpire. My ball as Carter slung onto the turf. Good tackle by Jones. But Carter persisted, and a pat on the head from Obbs to his teammate. The ball back with the umpire. Jones up, hands on knees, near Carter. Lures the centre-half forward. I think will go into ruck. And he'll wrestle with Sheehan. Hicks is there. The fist to Port Adelaide. Taken by Obbs. Clearance. Smothering ball over towards Bamford. He was grabbed but not in possession. In goes Lewis. Hand pass is intercepted by Obbs. He calls to Bamford. Over the top. Intercepted by Steinberger. Hand pass to Lewis. At half-40. Goes outside 50. Over towards Muller, who slips at the crucial time. In goes Orman. Allen backs in. Hand passes smothered. It spills over towards Steinberger. What intense competition at the moment. Steinberger weaving around. Tumbling ball inside 50. Was it touched off hands? Hammered away by Sheehan. Outside 50, that's all red, white and blue. No, it's gone too high. Here comes Hahn. Takes the ball and wheels around on the member's wing. Much to the approval of the Port Adelaide supporters. Out comes Binky. Takes the mark. No, it hit the ground. It did hit the ground. The Port Adelaide supporters do. Even Eric Freeman said it hit the ground. That's the ball,
it certainly did hit the ground. The umpire was in perfect position to see it too. It was a bit on Central back in front of us here in the grandstand. They had 4 players perched under the ball, but they all waited and didn't attack it. And it was the Port Adelaide player, I think it was Hahn, that came through and pinched the ball.
Well, we've seen some terrific football in this third quarter so far. It's being played at a cracking pace. The ball is there with Ellis. Tries to crash his way through. Tackle's being laid. And the umpire pulls out a 3. It'll go to Ellis. He'll take it in defence for Central District. So the Bulldogs at the moment hanging on grimly with this 5-point lead. We get 16 minutes into the third quarter. The kick from Ellis has been cut out by Carter. Carter now putting the ball over the 50-metre line. The lead is on from Binky. He can mark a football, this fellow. There's no doubt about that. Brian Binky has kicked 1 goal in this game, and if he kicks one here, that will be Port Adelaide back in front. There's a blood rule on, and who's that? McGowan coming off the ground, is it?
Yes.
And with the blood rule, so the play is so far away. I think Binky will take his kick all right. He's walking in now and kicks from 40. How straight is it? That's the question.
It's got to come back again.
Thank you very much. It does. I thought that it being so far away, they might allow it, but it doesn't apply like that. Fritzy does it.
It's called a trial ball.
Yeah, now he knows where the breeze is.
That's right. He should kick it this time, Fritzy. If he doesn't, he ought to go home, have an early shower.
Go back to the West Coast.
But Brian Binky has been marking in spectacular fashion here today. He really has caused some havoc on the forward line, or the defenders, caused some trouble for the defenders of Central District. And here he is after that practice shot to put Port Adelaide in front by a point. I don't think he will, though. The umpire's running away to his left and indicates that it is a behind. So Binky has missed after taking a very strong mark on the forward line. 4 points the difference after that minor score goes on the board to Port Adelaide. Central District 5-8, Port Adelaide 4-11. The Magpies might rue some of this poor kicking, Fritzy, as the day wears on.
Yeah, kicked 2-5 this quarter to 3 points. So just turn a couple of those behinds into goals. We've had a couple of reasonable shots at goal.
18 minutes gone in the third term. Central's by 4 points over the Magpies. Big pack of players at schools to Port Adelaide. Their on-ballers have been terrific in this term. They've been in the right place at the right term as Waite swings the ball inside 50 for Port Adelaide. They fly off hands, almost too many Central players. Binky just lunges onto the ball, keeps it inside 50, bounce at half forward. Give you the score here at the Alberton Oval. Central's 5-8-38, hanging on at the moment to Port Adelaide 4-11-35. So 3 points to the Bulldogs. 18 minutes gone third term. John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, Sturt have put the accelerator on. They lead by 18 points, 11-7-73. Norwood 8-7-55. Burton lining up as I speak for Sturt. Glenelg by 10 points at the Prospect Oval, 7-8-50. North Adelaide 6-4-40. And at the Optus Oval, it is Geelong 14-12-96 by 6 points over the Bulldogs, 12-18-90. A couple of minutes left in it. Melbourne by 49 points over Carlton. And at Waverley, it's Hawthorn 54-point leaders over St Kilda, 17-14-116. The Saints 9-9-63. Just quickly recapping that score from the Adelaide Oval. Sturt are now 24 points ahead. They've kicked that goal, so it's 12-7-79 over Norwood, 8-7-55. Alberton Oval.
Yes, and just inside 50 for Port Adelaide. Umpires pull out a free for a high tackle, and that free will be taken for Central District across the half-back line. Looks like Sutala that takes it. It was Willis, actually, that was the man that got the footy. And boy, away it comes onto the wing on the grandstand side. Picked up that time by Jones of Central District. And downfield it goes for a mark to be taken by Sheehan across the half-back line for Port Adelaide. He gets it further afield to Julian Waite. Away go the Magpies again. They're starting to build, getting a lot of minor scores in this quarter. They're about to crack it for a goal any tick of the clock, one would think. Downfield it goes. Binky's taken the mark over the back of the pack, runs into the open goal and slams it through. And that is the second goal for Brian Binky. That one was a mark over the back and the running into the open goal. He missed the set shot a moment ago, but he's got it there to put Port Adelaide in front in this game at the, well, almost 20-minute mark in the quarter. That was well done, Fritzy.
Yes, it was, and he likes the third quarters in any games there. 3 in the state game, 2 in this quarter, and we'll just get a score there from John Roman because we believe the scores are tied up at the Optus Oval.
Yes, that's right, Fritzy. Grant's just put one through for the Bulldogs, 13-18-96. Geelong 14-12-96. We'll keep you posted.
Port Adelaide 5-11-41. Central's 5-8-38. It's Port Adelaide by 3 points. Central's win the ball out of the centre inside 50 over towards Hicks. Pedler knocks the ball towards the boundary line. Hicks gets front position, wheels around, strong tackle by Pedler out on the full. The free kick will go to Port Adelaide. Marvellous effort by Pedler as Hicks got himself front position, but he was under pressure from his opponent. And Pedler, who spent time with the Crows, has the ball half back on the outer side near the scoreboard, which gives Port Adelaide that lead of 3 points. 21 minutes gone in the third term at the Alberton Oval. Beautiful blue skies in the distance now. Up go the tall timber from Port Adelaide. On the ground, a diving hand pass back towards Chambers. Inside 50, a long ball towards the goal squares, almost for Centrals. Hammered through by the desperate defenders. Pedler doing well on successive occasions. So it's 2 points Port Adelaide over Centrals. 21 minutes gone third term.
Yes, well, Central's last goal was at the 18.5-minute mark of the second quarter, so Port are doing well to keep them out of it. Geelong by a point now against the West Coast, the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, they've really been slugging that out today at Optus Oval, haven't they? The ball kicked away from half back for Port Adelaide, rolling out to right half forward. Out there is Daniel. of Central District. Does well, takes the kick to left half forward. Now we're running onto it is Schwartala. He's grabbed hold of the ball just inside the boundary line. Hand pass over it comes. Geelong have won by a point as we hear from John Roman. The ball is taken here by Lewis. Lewis has kicked downfield. The mark wasn't taken by Ball-Ace, but he recovered very well. Gets it on to Carter, who gets it out to Ambrose. Ambrose with another hand pass over now to Clayton. Clayton on the half-back flank under pressure as he took the kick. The ball comes rolling towards the line. It will run over near the interchange gate. There's a couple of players go to ground. The umpire blows the whistle for a boundary throw-in as it will be. Or is he going to report somebody here? No, I don't think he's going to report anybody. He's going to give him a free kick for being punched into the ground as the ball was rolling over the line. So Steinburner gets a free kick for the Doggies.
John Roman, quick score in that Western Bulldogs Geelong.
Yes, it's all happening, Roger. Geelong are home by 1 point, 14-13-97 over the Bulldogs, 13-18-96. We'll have the full-time scores of the other game shortly.
In goes Sheelan, half-back for Port Adelaide, clears it towards the members' wing, only finds Hulme. Hulme combining with Steinburner. Steinburner alongside him. Hulme, the socks down, number 16, goes across towards the Port Adelaide player, but marking the ball with a lunge is a Saywell. Point of the square, centres an inside 50, a wobbly old ball, comes towards Hicks, awkward bounce, taken by Daniel. Daniel gets away from Pedler, lines up, 20 metres out, snaps. Has he kicked a goal for Central? He has. The Bulldogs are back in front. What a great bit of play from Daniel down from the back pocket. Central's back in front by 4 points, 23 minutes gone. This match will be a thriller. Eric Freeman.
Yes, it's going to go down to the wire, and as you mentioned, Daniels from the back pocket. He followed his opponent. In fact, I think his might be Polton on the far side over there, or was it Hahn, and he followed all the way down the ground and picked it up and put it through. Ricky McGowan is back on the ground. I was going to say, while he's been off, it's been Port Adelaide that have been able to get the ball out of the centre, but he's back in there with head bandaged. He's got bandages everywhere.
Well, a 4-point lead then to Central District again after they had a 17-point lead at the start of the quarter. 6 goals, 9-45 to Port Adelaide, 5-11-41. A 4-point lead to the visitors. Central District looking for their 9th win for the season. The ball goes tumbling in on the half-forward line for Port Adelaide. Smith is there for the Magpies, trying to pick it up. Needs a hand pass out of the pack. Into the play goes Burgoyne. Does well to get a hand pass back to Waite. Waite's run down in the tackle, but he got his kick away just in time. The ball goes up into the forward line, and here's Binky again. Crashing through the pack to take another mark. Oh, he loves taking marks, Fitzy.
In the third quarters, too.
Oh, yes, he loves the third quarters. That's the premiership quarter.
May as well put him on the bench for the first half and just say, right, on the third quarter and take him off.
Well, he's lining up for his third goal, Brian Binky. At one stage was on the North Melbourne supplementary list. They might like to have another look at him one day. The kick is on its way. He's pushed it away to the left a little bit and through for a behind there for Brian Binky. So 3 points the difference. Central District leading here in the third quarter of the grandstand match of the day. We are 24.5 minutes into that third quarter.
5-12-42, Port Adelaide, 6-9-45, and Binky's had a couple of reasonable other shots too. Fitz, he could have had 4 goals in his turn. The ball is with Harmon, centre-half back. He spears the ball towards Lears. The centre-half forwards the centre-half back. He hits the ground, short hand pass to McGowan. Now the pace from Central, cut out by Carter, who's been sensational this term. He hand pass towards Pedler. Here's the counter for Port Adelaide. Burgoyne is in a group of Bulldogs trying to get free. Now that should be 25 metres against Daniel. He was held up. Burgoyne was held up. That had to be 25 metres. Not so, says the umpire. Burgoyne's on the outer wing. Port will go forward, down by 3 points. 25 minutes gone in the third term. Burgoyne pops the ball towards half forward, searching for the tall timber. Smith, Darren Smith of Port Adelaide. Ball on the ground. It's swooped upon by Bamford. Ball will go over the boundary line. Taylor escorts it over. It's virtually half forward wing on the outer side for Port Adelaide. Central's 6-9-45. Port Adelaide 5-12-42. The crowd really bubbling here at Alberton.
Yes, they certainly are, and we're going to be set for a great last quarter here. Only a kick in it, and both these sides striving for a position in the top 3.
Well, Central in front by 3 points. We're getting well into the third quarter now. Players claiming free kicks and holding the ball, holding the man out there. Nothing happening. The umpire will come in and take a bounce. So we've got Geelong defeating the Bulldogs Melbourne beating Carlton by the looks of things, and Hawthorn beating St Kilda. So the wheels have really fallen off St Kilda at the wrong time of the year. Yes, we might take those scores. Thank you, John.
Yeah, repeating that score from the Optus Oval was an absolute thriller. Geelong home by 1 point, 14-13-97. The Bulldogs 13-18-96, 1 point in it. The Cats home. Melbourne home by 49 points over Carlton, 16-17, 113. Carlton 8-16-64. And at Waverley, another very convincing result. Hawthorn by 59 points over the Saints, 19-14, 128. St Kilda 10-9-69.
Back at the Alberton Oval, it's Port Adelaide with the ball at half forward. My ball, says the umpire, and with the Bulldogs losing, Fritzy, North Melbourne winning last night. They've got 13 wins, so the battle for the top 2, the top 4, changes again, doesn't it?
Well, it does. As you say, Western Bulldogs and North Melbourne both level, and then St Kilda, Sydney, and then we find Melbourne are now hotly pressing West Coast, and that's a crucial game tomorrow.
The ball's with Darren Smith, floats the hand pass over the top, over towards his teammate Hahn, can cover with a goal. Wait on the goal umpire. I think he has. The goal umpire worked hard to his left. Goal to Port Adelaide. They're back in front over Central by 3 points. And the Queenslander, Scott Hahn, kicked his second goal. He started on the bench, but he's been a live wire, Eric Frank.
Yeah, since he has had a bit of spite and bite to that half-forward line. He's got plenty of pace. He's aggressive. He doesn't mind having a little bit of a shout, and he's picked up a couple of goals. So the crowd here lifting, and it's certainly lifting the players out on the ground. But young Steve has given them a lot of drive out of the centre. I must say that when McGowan was off the ground, I think that's when Port Adelaide started to get a little bit of a lift.
Well, a low-scoring first half for Port Adelaide when they only kicked 2 goals, but much better effort in this third quarter. Hahn has got his second. Vinky's got 2 goals. And the scoreboard at the moment, Central District 6-9, trailing Port Adelaide 6-12. So Port in front by 3 points here. The score starting to seesaw a bit in this third quarter. The ball taken at the side of the pack after the bounce by Tom Carr. Kicks to right half forward. Plenty of players up there. Smith on the ground does it well. Smith a little hook around the corner, found Hahn. Hahn puts the hand pass over the top to Binky, running into the goal square. Oh, he's kicked it, and it hit the post. He's donged the woodwork, a minor score. And Port Adelaide with a 4-point lead now as we take three-quarter time scores in the other SANFL games.
Yes, thanks, Malcolm. It's three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval. Sturt have had a fantastic third quarter. They put on 6 goals. Sturt 13-7-85. They lead by 30 points at the last break over Norwood. 8-7-55. In the other game at the Prospect Oval, also three-quarter time, Glenelg 9-9-63 by 16 points over North Adelaide, 7-5-47.
And back at the Alberton Oval, 29 minutes gone in the turn. Ball says the crowd, the ball's on the outer side. My ball says the umpire. And Steed runs about 20 metres to congratulate Sheehan, who's stymied the opposition. Also wait on the outer side. So Port Adelaide in front by 4 points, close to three-quarter time. 6-13-49, Central 6-9-45.
That was McGowan that got hit then pretty hard, and he's already been off the ground. So if they can stem the flow from him there, the Port might get up.
Soccer by Centrals, but emerging is Morgan. Wonderful hand pass. Carter received the shepherd from Wade. He heads towards the boundary line. Carter has been absolutely magnificent across half. Back the siren sounds, and the Port Adelaide supporters stand and applaud their team. They were down by 17 points at half-time, but at three-quarter time, Port leads Centrals by 4 points, 6-13-49, leading Centrals 6-9-45, which
Central have made that move because Binky has been so outstanding in that third quarter. So Port Adelaide leading by 3 points. Can't see too many other changes out there.
Another goal to Sturt, apparently, John.
That's right, Roger. They now lead by 42 points, 15-7-97 over Norwood, 8-7-55, and they're, about a minute and a half into the last quarter.
One would think that that's just about all over Red Rover there with Sturt bolting away from Norwood. Anyway, it's not the case here. This is the match of the day, and it's Port Adelaide, the home side, in front by 4 points. As the umpire's about to set them going in the final quarter, Port Adelaide 6-13, leading Central District 6 goals, 9, and he thumps the footy into the middle of the ground, and the players go to it. And in perfect conditions, we're going to see this drama unfold in this final quarter. And I think that's exactly what it will be, because only 4 points the difference have been added all day. The ball is taken by Hahn, gets through a tackle, gets a little hand pass over. It's taken by Steed. Steed lines up on that southern goal. He's put it through for a behind. It went over the back of the pack, so close to a goal for Alfred Steed, and it's through for a behind. 4 points the difference in favour of Port Adelaide.
And that was picked up by number 13 again in Scott Hahn. He's had a tremendous second half, the little fella, and he got it over to Steed. And their pace is starting to worry Central.
Kick in by Centrals towards the outer side. There's a gentleman going past with his bag, knocked the headphones off on it. The ball comes back towards the player for Port Adelaide. They go up towards the behind line, and that was Hahn working hard again. He got 3. That's danger for Centrals. They seem to be under the pump already, Fritzy, trail by 5 points.
Yes, well, they're really, as we said, every quarter Port Adelaide have come out like fighting a rata, and unfortunately for Central, he's up in the grandstand today, but it's just the way they've come out, Port.
Well, Geister puts the ball back into play, kicks away to the half-back flank on the outer side, but a strong mark taken by Port Adelaide's Jakes out there. Their big ruckman, he's played a pretty solid game today, as the little hand pass from him goes across to be taken by Ops downfield, and there he is again, Brian Binky taking another mark. He has caused some headaches for Central District defenders today, Brian Binky. He has kicked 2 goals out of Port Adelaide's 6 goals in this game so far. And at the moment, Port Adelaide have a 5-point lead in the game. 50 playing 45. 6-14. They've been right off target today, the Magpies. 6-14, 50. Central District 6-9, 45. Binky lining up. The distance won't be a problem. It'll be a matter of whether he can squeeze it through from there. Fans like it. I think the umpire does as well. And Binky kicks another goal. His 3rd for the afternoon. In a low-scoring game, Brian Binky gets his 3rd goal. And Port Adelaide shoot out to an 11-point lead in this low-scoring affair. And we are just over the 2-minute mark of the final quarter.
Well, this is his 44th game today. He's played a lot of those in defence. When you think he's only kicked 16 goals, and most of those have probably been in the last half a dozen matches or so, because once he's been moved into attack, and I think he's a very fine defender, and he's proving now what a great all-round footballer he is. He's now got Port Adelaide into this game. In fact, they're in front, and there's going to be a change here. We're going to see number 40 and Schwert going on to Binky.
Port Adelaide 7-14, 56, Central 6-9, 45. Let's go to John Roman for the update.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt still by 43 points. Norwood have just retaliated. Sturt 16-8, 104 by 43 points over Norwood, 9-7-61. Short time ago from the Prospect Oval, Glenelg led North by 16 points. Back to the Alberton Oval,
where Daniel Hulme limps away. He looks bruised and battered. That would be a blow for Centrals. He hops around on one leg, and he doesn't look too good. The ball bounced away just from the centre circle. Up goes a Moller. It's rowed by Geist. A hand pass over the top. A little bit of hope there, taken by Hahn, as Hulme doesn't look in good fell at all. Taken by Burgoyne. He whips his away from Daniel, up and slips and slides it up, and a bounce to half court. Brilliant play. Outside 50, inside 50. He bounces the ball the 3rd time, drops it, and it goes over the boundary line. Fill me up, Buttercup, and then knock me down.
Twice he had bounces and missed the ball.
It was great skill, though, to get away from Daniel.
Yeah. Port are right back in this.
Well, they are. They've got the ball on the 50-metre line. Port Adelaide, another goal is going to make it very hard for Central District. At the moment, they've got an 11-point lead. Downfield it goes. Schwert did well that time to knock the ball away from Binky, the danger man. The ball goes into the left forward pocket. Chambers runs onto it. Hand pass back. There's about a 30-metre hand pass. Came back to Hicks. He gets another one floating over the top now, and away they go once more through Ellis, who grabbed hold of the ball. Rather, Willis it was that grabbed hold of the ball that time and booted it out. It went up onto the wing on the outer side. Into the play that time goes Saywell. He got bundled out of the road by Carter. Carter goes after the ball, and it goes over the line on the outer side, and the umpire will throw it in. So it's a fairly low-scoring affair here. Port Adelaide 7-14, Central District 6 goals, 9. The difference is 11 points in favour of Port Adelaide.
And Central have just lost Hulme. Has been one of their most consistent players all day, and he's off the ground. He won't take any further part.
Play on the outer wing. Port Adelaide have the ball with Obbs. They pop the ball towards half-court, looking for Burgoyne. Doesn't let him down. He sweeps the hand pass towards Hahn. Danger for Centrals. He stabs it low towards Binky. He's got front position. On his hammer is Schwert working hard. Binky's tackle, ball on the ground, knocked forward by Binky across the face of goals. Out comes Steve with a bump. It only ends up with Cassidy, who spears the ball outside 50, heads towards the boundary line. That's where it goes. Chambers can't get there. But Centrals just can't get the ball forward at the moment. Port Adelaide, with their intensity, their fanaticism, have just got it cammed to virtually half forward and inside 50. Port Adelaide 7:14.56. Central's 6:9.45. We've played 5 minutes final term. The Magpies by 11 points. John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt by 42 points, 16-8, 104. Norwood 9-8, 62. And a close one at the Prospect Oval. North Adelaide back in front now, 10-6, 66 by just 3 points over Glenelg, 9-9, 63.
Grandstand footy from the Alberton Oval, and we've got the home side in front by 11 points. Tomorrow afternoon, Grandstand takes you to Footy Park for the big showdown 4 between Port Adelaide and the Crows. And our broadcast of that tomorrow afternoon. The game starts at 10 minutes to 3 tomorrow afternoon. The ball is down there, taken by Smith, breaks the tackle, well done, runs over 50. Smith puts it up into the goal square. The lead is on from Binky, tried to take it one hand. Hahn's in there as well. Burgoyne runs onto the ball, but he's hit the post. Oh, he'd actually, well, you could almost say he kicked the goal. It's hit the base of the post, almost the inside of the post. But a poster is a poster, Fritzy, and it's only 1 point instead of 6.
Yeah, well, they had the flow then, Port Adelaide again, and they've got a lot of run in their legs at the moment.
There's Hahn there again, wasn't he? Hounding away.
Yep, he's been right in it since he's been on the ground.
Port Adelaide 7:15.57. Central 6:9.45. 12 points in favour of the Magpies. Kick in towards the outer side. Crumbs towards Carr. He's pushed and hassled by Chambers. Over the boundary line it goes. And it's still half forward for Port Adelaide. Darren Smith wanders across to centre half forward. He's been marked by Geister. Jakes, who's really lifted since half-time, as mentioned by Eric, goes in against Moller. Behind is the two-fist of Reimer. Spills onto the ground. Carr trying to get away from Chambers. He does. He keeps a tumbling ball towards Hahn, who takes the mark of the 50-metre line. Hand pass over towards his teammate in Carr. Can he cover with a goal? Wait on the goal umpire.
I think
he has. He has. It's a goal to Port Adelaide. It was Bamford who kicked the goal for Port Adelaide. So Port Adelaide lead by 18 points.
Is that the car?
I think it was 27 Scott Bamford who linked across. He's getting a pat on the back from the trainer who gets an extra squirt of water. 18 points in favour of Port Adelaide over Central. 7 minutes gone, final turn.
Well, as we predicted, things that might happen there. McGowan has been cut out of the game, and that has cut the drive of Central. Now, he could get back into it, but I noticed that the skipper for Port has also been influential in the centre of the ground against McGowan.
Well, they got Moller against Jakes now in the ruck at centre, so quite clearly the big man Jakes is well and truly on top in that department, Fritzy.
Yeah, well, I said that at three-quarter time, that Arnold had been cut out of the game, and the big fella Jakes has really got Port Adelaide back into it.
Well, he actually got dragged during the third quarter, Arnold.
Yeah, we're going to see, I reckon there's a blood rule here on maybe one of the Port players. It is, he's got to leave the ground, whoever it is, Daisy Borlace.
No, it's the Central District bloke.
Both of them.
Oh, right.
Is it Obst?
Obst and Ellis, isn't it?
Obst has only got a bit of blood on him, I think, at the moment, but he's got to leave the ground. That's the thing, he can't stay there.
This might be Willis, Bradley Willis, the Central District guy.
Yes, Obst got a little bit on his thigh. He's trying to rub it off. I think it came off the Central's player. That's what it did.
Yep. But he's actually got to leave the ground. He can't stay there.
Now, Polton comes on. He was the late inclusion in the side when Fabian Francis dropped out with a shoulder injury. So is that his first run today, Fritzy, for Polton? I think that might be his first time off the pitch.
No, he's been on before. Remember, he came off. No, that was Hahn. No, Polton's been on there for a little while.
All right, well, they've sorted all that out. Big Damien Arnold trots back on the ground. So they're trotting around all over the place here at the moment. It's like Globe Derby Park.
Arnold looks a little bit
and Port Adelaide are pacing it better.
Yes, they are, Fritzy. They're pacing it very well, as a matter of fact, because they're in front by 18 points, the Magpies. What can Central District do about this? Carter's got the footy on the defensive end of the square. He pops it across, and the mark is being taken out there by Carr. And Carr of Port Adelaide heads to the half-forward line. And they've got players bobbing up all over the place. That was Polton. Polton gets it down to Smith. The experienced one has got the footy just outside half forward. Bombs it to the goal square. Up there is Schwert. Through goes Bamford, but the ball beat him over the line. He was sort of like playing it like a game of soccer that time, Bamford, looking for his second goal in a matter of minutes. But he couldn't find a goal, only a minor score for a 19-point lead to Port Adelaide, making it very hard now for the doggies here, Fritzy.
Yeah, and they've had the last 9 scoring shots, so you can see that they really have dominated since about the 26-minute mark, I think it was, of the third quarter, when they led trailed 5-12 to 6-9.
Port Adelaide 8-16, 64 to Central 6-9, 45. The kicking mark by Ellis, but he's under pressure from Colton. Hand pass taken by Jakes. Another one over towards Steed. Look out Central. The tumbling ball inside 50. Ball bouncing around. In goes Casserly with dash. Back from Geister to Casserly. At centre half back through the centre square. Picks out the bandaged McGowan. Wheeled around. Thought about a hand pass. Bouncing around. A twirl of the football. As Polton about to come off for Obstus, who've been given a wash. The ball is half forward to Central's player dragged down without the ball. Oh, what, says the Port Adelaide supporter, but Clayton certainly impeded young Shell. Shell winds up wing half forward on the outer side. He pops the ball high towards half forward, and the Central players spoil one another. Hickson lures the crumbs towards Port, but taken by Saywell. Lines up the goals. Plenty of pushing, shoving, going, and mark taken by Ambrose. Good mark against Arnold. And Ambrose comes back towards the members' side. A high ball outside 50. Jakes winds up. I think there's a stop. We'll have to go back to the other end. They'll have to have a...
Got to bring him out 5 metres.
To come out from the behind area. Chance to give you the score. Port Adelaide 8-16, 64. Central 6-9, 45. The Bulldogs seem to be going up and down the one spot at the moment.
They are, and Polton's coming back onto the ground now. Port Adelaide making a change there.
Yeah, well, they haven't added to their three-quarter time score line. Central District, they're on 6-9 at three-quarter time, and they're still on 6-9. Now, Jakes has got the footy for Port Adelaide, their big ruckman. Downfield he goes, just short of centre wing. Chance was there for Steed. Ball comes out of the back for Carter. Carter breaks a couple of tackles, then hand passes. Running onto the ball is Ellis. Ellis dragged to the ground of the tackle, holding the ball is the decision. And 50,000 Port Adelaide fans made sure the umpire paid it. The ball is taken by Wallace. Downfield it goes. And the mark at right half forward is with Orman Allen. Orman Allen thumps into the goal square. Down there is Binky. Ball may roll through. Was that touched? I don't think it was. It's a goal to Port Adelaide. That came from Orman Allen. And Port Adelaide just about stitch it up with that one. They go to a 25-point lead. Orman Allen kicked the ball from the half-forward flank. It rolled over the back of the pack. Nobody touched it, Fritzy, so Port Adelaide marched to a 25-point lead.
And the goal, he fell over when he kicked it too. It looked it was only going to go 30 metres. That's his first goal for Port Adelaide.
OK, comments there on grandstand from Eric Freeman. Let's take an update on other scores from John Roman.
OK, at the Adelaide Oval, it's Sturt by 43 points, 16-9, 105, Nord 9-8, 62. Seesawing affair at the Prospect Oval. Glenelg back in front now, and they lead by just 4 points, 10-11, 71. North Adelaide 10-7, 67. Alberton Oval.
West Central's under pressure as the ball comes to the centre square towards the members' side, taken by Swatala at defensive end of the square up towards centre half forward for Centrals. It spills away towards Carter, almost man of the match. He stabs the ball towards centre half forward. Too many Port Adelaide players. They just fired up the crumbs to ball. A standing start over towards Mickey. Almost. Resting with Schwert. Play on, says the umpire. Daniel goes in. He's tackled. Was it too high? My ball, says the umpire. 15 metres out from the Port Adelaide goals. And now there's a free kick.
He's going to pick out a free here to somebody.
Over the shoulder. It will go to Daniel. Hand pass towards Squirt. Squirt runs towards the members' side, looking for Geister. Ormond Allen gets in the way. Swooping is the Port Adelaide player in Polden. Ball spills out 550. Comes off bodies. Under pressure with Saywell. Hand pass towards Geister. Geister goes towards the wing. Lovely pass towards Willis, the boy from Clare. Moves it back towards centre half forward. It's too high, is it? No. Taken by Chambers, who had to jump in the air because Carter was thundering in behind him. Chambers goes towards centre half forward for Centrals. Out comes the defender in shield. It spills to Jones. Jones slaps the ball up towards the goals. Goal for Centrals. Much needed. Down by 19 points. There's still time for the Bulldogs. 12 minutes gone. Make that 14 minutes in the final term. 19 points to lead Port Adelaide over Centrals. And the Bulldogs haven't kicked a goal for a while, Fritzy.
No, not since I had down about 23-minute mark of the third quarter. when they led 6-9 to 5-11, and since then Port Adelaide, I think, have had 11 or 12 scoring shots in a row, 11 scoring shots before Central got that goal. But that's now just give them a little snip with 14 and a half minutes gone, halfway through the last quarter. They still trail by 19 points, Malcolm.
Yes, well, there is time, isn't there? There's time for them. There's no doubt about that. It's a matter of whether they can get on a bit of a roll here now. But Jakes continues to dominate in the ruck, and Port Adelaide move it fluently out of the middle again. Up it goes there onto the half-back line. Reimers grabs hold of the footy for Central District. Good interception here, though, for Port Adelaide as it was kicked well over the 50-metre line up in the general direction of Binky. Running onto it, Burgoyne. Well, he looked as though he was going to pick it up. Now it's being kicked away. It's spinning around there near the half-back line for Central District. Switala goes across there, gets foot to ball, gets it out now to Daniel. Daniel breaks a tackle, turns, gets look at somewhere to kick it now as he comes off the half-back line and finds Ellis. And Ellis now will take the kick virtually on the defensive 50 for the Bulldogs.
Long lead coming from Lewis. Back goes Morgan with courage. Players crash onto the ground. Knocked forward by Jones. Looked at it, grabbed by Bamford and not in possession, surely. Not so, says the umpire, as Shear knocks the ball over the boundary line. Big Jacks gives him a pat on the back. Willis couldn't keep it in, but I thought that was a bit tough on Central.
Yeah, I thought there was a bit of nip and tuck, though. There was a poor player held just before that, where the umpire thought, well, let's just keep it going and going. They've worked out that well, I thought.
Port Adelaide 9-16-70, Central 7-9-51. Big crowd chanting their support, mainly Port Adelaide supporters, but there are some Bulldogs. Clayton's tackled over the shoulder, going against Jones. So Clayton goes back at half-back on the grandstand side, much to the approval of their supporters. 19 points to lead. Magpies over Bulldogs.
Clayton's kick good, 55 metres coming up to be taken by Geister at the back of the pack. His kick wasn't very accurate, though. It goes bouncing away. Carr charges at the football, knocks it up to the 50-metre line, gathers. Carr now can have a shot. He's put it on its way, but it's way offline. Fair bit of distance in that kick. It bounces just inside the line. Hand pass comes back to be intercepted by Saywell. Out of the back pocket now. Saywell going on the hand pass across to Casserly. Casserly now kicking the ball away into the middle of the ground, where the mark there has been taken by Wakeland. Wakeland getting the ball clear now as he brings it up just over the centre wing area. The mark cut out that time by Sheehan of Port Adelaide.
Good effort by the youngster coming in for Lees as Port Adelaide counter wobbly. Old ball over loose. Ball comes over the shoulder of Steinburner. Spills away to Borlase. Here's danger for Centrals. The captain will normally do something of it. He goes towards Binky. Binky almost off his chest. He recovers. Hand pass towards Burgoyne. 40 metres out for Burgoyne. Lobs it up towards the goal squares. It's in the forward pocket. Back goes Casserly. Superb mark in the back pocket under plenty of pressure from Steve.
Yes, it was. Steve was running straight at him. He may well have got the free, but he positioned himself well under the ball.
Well, the Bulldogs trailing by 19 points. They would want to make some sort of a charge right now if they're going to win this game, because Port Adelaide have got that very handy lead in this low-scoring affair. The ball is forced over the line. Pedler seemed to be in best position to do something about it, but it was thumped over the line by the new boy for Central District, Daniel Shell, who has come onto the ground, and he's been playing a bit of ruck work out there. Moller's also on the ruck duties as well for Central District. Out of the back of the pack it goes, and Saywell gets them moving again. They need to work it quickly. Up to Lewis, knocked away by Sheehan. Loose ball is picked up and shot forward for Central District by Willis. Gets it up into the right forward pocket. Big chance here for Central District. It's picked up by Chambers. Chambers runs into the open goal and bangs it through. A goal to Central District, and boy, they needed that one. How many's that Chambers has got today? Sean Chambers has kicked 2, thank you, Roger. And there it is, down to 11 points in favour of Port Adelaide.
There's still plenty left in this game.
13 points, actually.
Yep, plenty left in this game, Malcolm. But Central's just getting the last couple of goals to keep themselves in this game. They were down by, 27 points. Now they find themselves only 13 points down.
19 minutes gone in the final term. Port Adelaide 9-16-70. Centrals 8-3-57. So the Port Adelaide supporters in the Williams stand starting to get nervous, because at one stage they were cruising, leading by 25 points when Orman Allen kicked his goal. And the ball back for the umpire. 13 points in favour of the Magpies. Craig Ebert, the runner for Port Adelaide, goes back in the bunker. The ball's bounced. It's palmed down beautifully to Jones. Great play by Centrals. Back towards Jones at centre-half forward. 70 metres out. He goes for home. It's offline. It'll be a scorer behind. Brilliant out of the centre. was that mallet that won the tap. It was to Jones. Magnificent effort. 12 points to lead Port Adelaide over Centrals, and now the Pies are hanging on.
Yes, it was a perfect tap down, and the Centrals were all running from that centre line, and unfortunately for them, Jones's kick was offline. But Port Adelaide just need another score here to perhaps put it beyond doubt.
Well, at the moment, Central still in there with some sort of a chance. The ball comes back in from full-back. Kicked away, though, by Daisy Borlace, the Port Adelaide captain. Comes downfield, all on the centre wing, taken by Castley. He gets it out to Swatala. Then it's on to Reimers. Reimers downfield. It goes to Moller. Moller getting a hand pass out. Here, chances for Jones again. He's trying to break the tackle. There were 2 or 3 tackles being laid on him there. And I think it's a free kick. It's going to Jones. A free kick to Jones. Well, he can kick long distances. Let's see how he goes this time. He's got it right up into the teeth of goal. Mark needed down there. Hicks was there, wasn't able to take it. The ball is knocked away over the line. And there'll be a throw-in the left forward pocket for Central District. Well, another goal here to the Bulldogs. There's still probably about 7 or 8 minutes of play to go, one would think. If they could snap a goal out of here, it'll be one straight kick the difference.
Boundary throw-in, half forward for Centrals. Down by 12 points. In goes McGowan, hand pass. Really went up in the air. Jakes palms it towards the boundary line. Port Adelaide player was taken out without the ball. Play on says down by the snap comes from the youngster Shell. No, there's been a free kick. Free kick will go to Port Adelaide. No score. And the ball will go to Stephen Carter in the back pocket. So it's Port still leading by 12 points. Give you the scoreline. The Magpies 9-16-70. Centrals 8-10-58. We've played almost 20 minutes in the final term. John Roman.
At the Adelaide Oval, 7,865 people is the official crowd. Sturt by 39 points, 16-11-107. Norwood 10-8-68. And the most recent score from the Prospect Oval, Glenelg 10-11-71 by 4 points over North Adelaide, 10-7-67. Back to the Alberton Oval.
Well, back at the Alberton Oval we are, and what a thriller we've got. 12 points the difference. Ambrose dropped the footy. Then he goes in with a second effort to kick it off the ground, and he's found Carr out there on the half-back line for Port Adelaide. But Central District really giving some cheek here now, the Bulldogs. A little bit of bark in the Bulldogs in the last 10 minutes. Mark is being taken by Borlace, the Port captain. On the defensive side of centre wing, kicks away to the actual centre wing area where Bolton has taken the mark for the Magpies. Came off the interchange bench. Jared Bolton, late inclusion in the side when Fabian Francis dropped out. Bolton now takes the kick up to Port's 50. That's been cut out by Reimers. A good mark there to Huey Reimers. Reimers getting it out to McGowan. On it goes to Steinburner. Steinburner running hard. Takes a long kick. It's a 50-metre kick going up in the half-forward right position with a mark out there taken by Simon Pedler of Port Adelaide. And it is Port Adelaide in front by 2 goals. Port Adelaide 9-16-70. Leading Central District 8 goals, 10-58.
22 minutes gone in the final term. Pedler soaking up the time. Goes long down the outer wing. A wonderful mark there by Pedler as Centrals were going forward. Almost a mark to Geister. Does the roving as well. Back down the wing. Winding up his Jakes, who's had a tremendous second half. Takes the mark. Spent time at Geelong. Didn't quite make it. It was one of the best games I've seen him play for Port Adelaide. Hand pass over towards Borlace. Using his experience. Back towards half-forward. Up goes Ryan. Great mark to Burgoyne behind the pack. Timed his legs superbly. Centres the ball across the ground. Carter's come down the ground. Takes the mark almost at centre half-forward. Wheels around. Keeps it moving. Clayton goes up towards half-forward. So the 2 defenders, Carter and Clayton, reading the play. And Clayton, right half-forward, outside 50 at the moment. On the grandstand side, we've got a perfect view. 12 points to lead to Port Adelaide. Virtually no breeze to worry about. As Clayton, can he get the distance? It's not a bad kick distance-wise. It goes towards the behind area. Up goes Orman Allen. Took the mark, but it went over the behind line. I think, yes, a behind to Port Adelaide, but a very important score. They lead by 13 points. 23 minutes gone in the final term. Eric Freeman.
Yes, it was an important score. Central had the previous 3 scoring shots, and Port had a lull for about 7 or 8 minutes, but a point is worth a goal at the moment.
Yes, it is, because that means that from this point on, Central District need to virtually kick 3 goals without Port Adelaide scoring. It's the Magpies 9-17 to Central District 8 goals 10, and the ball is on the far side of the ground over near the scoreboard. Daniel takes the kick for Central District, and Reimers takes the mark. Huey Reimers just chipping the ball across to be taken for Central District by Saywell. Saywell coming through the middle, heading for half forward. Players up but nobody marking. Good play that time by Clayton. Got the little hand pass over to Hahn. Running onto the ball now is Alfred Steed. Runs over 50. He can kick a goal. The kick wobbles away into the left forward pocket. He has missed the lot, Steed, and it's gone out of play for a throw into the left forward pocket.
I tell you what, Darren Smith's not too happy there. When you look at Steed as he's 22 years of age, and it's like his father there was. He's old enough. Darren Smith there, the way he should have got the ball off him. He should have passed it.
Well, let's check some other scores with you there, John Roman. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mel. It's full time in the other two games in the SANFL this afternoon. Sturt have won the game at the Adelaide Oval by 39 points, 16-12, 108. Norwood 10-9, 69. And at the Prospect Oval, it was Glenelg by 10 points, 11-12, 78. That's the full-time score. Glenelg 11-12, 78, defeating North Adelaide by 10 points, 10-8, 68. Back to the Alberton Oval,
where we've played 25 minutes in the final term. So Sturt clinched the minor premiership. The top of the table clash there at the Adelaide Oval, and here looks as though Port Adelaide will regain third spot on percentage from West Adelaide. Port Adelaide 9-17-71, Central Districts 8-10-58. Players out at half forward at the moment for Port Adelaide, and up goes Darren Smith, using that experience, just going up and hammering the ball over the boundary line. We've played, as I mentioned, over 25 minutes. 13 points to lead to Port Adelaide. They trailed at half-time by 17 points, but it's been a magnificent effort in the second half, and they currently lead by 13 points, coming up to the 26-minute mark of the final term at the Alberton Oval.
Yes, one would think at that rate, then Port Adelaide have got this one in the bag, and they'll take their 10th win for the season.
And they've got one game up on Central too, and also West Adelaide. Certainly Central. They've got a game up on them with the bye.
Well, Central District look like they're not going to win this one here today. They had their chance, didn't they, at half-time, and they led by 17 points. But Port came out smoking in that second half, and they look like taking the points here today on their home ground. 8 goals, 10 for Central, 9-17 for Port Adelaide. Well, I think the Magpies deserve to win it with that shocking kicking. Fritzy had that a kick straight. They put the issue beyond doubt a long time ago.
Well, they had a very good third quarter, as we say, the premiership quarter.
Rucks to it again. Big Jakes knocking the ball out over the line. Port won't mind that. 9-17-71 for Port Adelaide. 8 goals, 10-58 for Central District. The difference is 13 points. A difficult task here for Central District with only 2 or 3 minutes to go. One would think they'd need to kick 3 goals without Port Adelaide scoring.
Players inside 50 for Port Adelaide too. Port Adelaide 9-17-71. Central's 8-10-58. 13 points in favour of the Magpies. They've played almost 27 minutes in the final term. Beautiful evening here in Adelaide. And we look forward to the call tonight from Perth of the AFL game after the 8 o'clock news between Fremantle and Essendon. The Bombers certainly flying high at the moment, but a tricky game in Perth. The ball with Reimers clears it outside 50 under pressure, and really pressure has been fantastic from Port Adelaide since half-time. Working hard as Steed. The ball is swept towards Jones, who's come alive in this final term. Has a couple of bounces as he sweeps down the outer wing, pops the hand pass over the top to Ellis. A good bounce to him. In fact, it's Willis back to Jones, who keeps going, has another bounce. Make that 2 bounces just outside 50. Angela Cuda, tumbling ball up towards Lewis. Can he take the mark? Ball knocked away from him by Ambrose as Lewis had to wait. The ball sat up. Lewis just went up and hammered it over the goal line, conceding 12 points to lead. Port Adelaide over Centrals. Surely the Bulldogs are run out of time.
Well, you would think so, that this game should be well out of the way. What are we, 28 minutes now into the last quarter? Almost 28 minutes. The other quarters have gone 29.
12 points the difference. Home side leading Port Adelaide for their 10th win of the season. And Central District will have to stay on 8 wins for the season. 8 wins and 9 losses, Central District, after today. Early in the curtain raiser, Central District won that match by 47 points, and I suppose the supporters were hoping that might be a double. There's a high lead by Colton up over the top. The mark of the day from Jared Colton. That was a beauty at centre wing, right in front of the old stand here. And the supporters love that as Clayton grabs hold of the ball after the Polton kick. Sends it down into the pocket. Binky there. Binky appealing for out of play on the full. But I don't think the umpire agrees with him, and the boundary umpire will throw it in the right forward pocket for Port Adelaide, who are leading by 12 points, and I think that's enough for them to win it, because they've got it down the business end of the ground and most likely will score from this little boundary throw in here very soon.
Port Adelaide 9-17-71, Centrals 8-11-59, 12 points to the Pies. Ball hammered away by Central. Strong tackle coming from Darren Smith and Burgoyne, and trying to get clear as Saywell. Look to be leg play on since the umpire. A series of hand pass and racing clear as Swatala through the centre square. Jakes from the side crashes the pack. At the top of the pack is Bamford, sweeps the hand pass over towards Carr, weaves away from his opponent and moves it back inside 50, searching for Darren Smith. Over the back it goes. Squirt can take the ball. He comes across towards the back pocket, stops, looks, pops, passes the ball towards Saywell to switch towards the outer side. Chance for Centrals. Back goes the Port player. Good mark there from Swatala, who's held up by Carter. Good experience by Carter. Ball ace Darren Smith in the final term have been very, very shrewd.
Yes, if he got away then he would have saved a few seconds and maybe raced away from Port Adelaide.
Ball on the outer side. Bamford's there. Gives a little hand pass over to Clayton, as it was that time. Seems to be all over the place, Clayton. The ball is across there with Carr. He goes sliding on the ground. Out the back it comes. Players being thrown all over the place at the moment. Finally, it's picked up and kicked forward by Willis of Central District. Downfield it goes, and there's the siren. Victory to the home side, Port Adelaide. And their supporters are stoked. They like that victory. That's the 10th win for the season for Port Adelaide, and the final scoreline here on Grandstand Footy. Port Adelaide 9-17-71. The Central District 8 goals, 11-59. The supporters are stoked. They love every moment of that. Trailing by 17 points at half-time. Port Adelaide have come out and blitzed Central District in the second half to win the game eventually by 12 points. So there it is, folks, on Grandstand Footy today. Port Adelaide 9-17-71. Central District 8 goals, 11-59. And tomorrow...